Yeah, I suppose. It was good. They just ask questions like anything else.
Good evening. Today is Monday, April 21st, 2025. I'd like to open the regularly scheduled meeting of the Allenstown Board of Selectmen to order at 6 p.m. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, sorry.
And Scott McConnell. John Harrington? All right. I know some folks thought at a meeting that when I asked you to recite your name after you already signed the register, that I was trying to intimidate someone. Of course, it's not true. Just please make sure that you have signed the register so we know you're here. A quick reminder on the rules, which haven't really been followed the last couple of weeks. I'm not trying to be a bully, as some have called me, but it's my job to run the meeting and maintain a certain decorum. We have a citizens' comments period where citizens can voice their comments and concerns. We ask that you keep it to 3 minutes. And we have, we're interviewing the town treasurer tonight, so we have a relatively short business meeting. So please be brief. And we will go to. Hold on. Go to citizens.
Pause for a moment, just so I can recognize that word to read statement.
Go ahead.
Just pertaining to.
Yep. No, go ahead.
As long as I can get through it, I can. But, just a few things in light of just events on Facebook and everything. So when I first thought about running for selectman, it was during a public school board meeting for the Purple Bus, and sitting there in the meeting, I was thinking to myself, I really wish that we would all get together in town for more positive things. And I really commended him for, coming out and defending himself. So that's what I'm going to try to do here now. When I first decided to run for selectman, it was because I wanted to make a positive difference in town. Worked and lived in town for quite a few years. One of the first things I kept hearing people say to me when I was about doing this, running for select board, was thank you for stepping up. A lot of people don't because of exactly what's happening here today, because it's stressful to be doing this and being somebody new to it. And I didn't think it would be this bad, but I was wrong. My campaign was based on helping to bring change and looking at things with fresh eyes, and that is true. That's what I'm trying to do, and I haven't even been given a chance to do that without already being judged. And quite frankly, very rudely criticized. It's one thing to have your passionate agendas, I believe each one of us does. But to have a select woman at the start of a meeting say, if any of these other selectmen vote on number one for the trash, then they are being lazy, and it's just not right, and I feel like it's just pitting one against the other, and it kind of set the tone for the room. We are supposed to be a body to discuss the facts and our interpretations about those facts as a body and come up with a solution in the middle. And that did not happen, shame on all of us. Some of us were a little blindsided, I feel, with information at the last minute, and then ridiculed after and accused of punishing people because they voted for a default budget, which is not true from my perspective and for me personally. I am a mom, a wife, a sister, and a friend, and most importantly, I'm a resident of this town as well. I pay taxes, I do the same as you. I totally understand not wanting to have my taxes raised. I was a single mom for 6 years without child support, and I know what the struggle is. I would use my local church to get gifts for my kids. So I get it, we need a fresh start, we need to get audits complete, we need to make some changes and maybe just different ideas, maybe to meet with department heads 2 or 3 times a year to see what's going on in their departments, just so we're all abreast of it, a suggestion. I also think that maybe meet with the school board a couple more times a year, so we're all on the same page. My thoughts after doing my own research and talking with not only department heads and looking at budget numbers, which I may remind you, I knew, so my input for all of that over the past few years wasn't fair. Talking with our new town administrator with over 10 years of municipal government experience, and also walking with Kathleen and having a 2-hour conversation with her about everything that was going on with the default budget and handling it. So I did do my own research, and yes, I did consider option 4 as well, the pay to throw. After all that, seeing numbers from Kathleen's many spreadsheets, some of which were incorrect, and she corrected according to the information she found. Hearing Elaine and the budget committee chair at our very last meeting where we voted regarding the option 4 and purchases of a truck. And knowing that our 2023 and 24 audits are not complete yet, that there was no really clear picture for me except number 1, with some options for people to use the dump for waste oil leaves being what in anything with a net profit. This is the important one, that a lot of people got angry at our last meeting and didn't even, I don't think, absorb what was made in the motion. Then having a warrant article go in for the next voting cycle for the residents to decide how they wanted their trash done. It certainly wasn't to punish anybody. That is not who I am, and it never will be. That was all speculation and putting words in my mouth on Facebook. Nobody can assume what someone else is thinking, and she certainly didn't follow me around to know what I was doing. I am all for the people, and as a matter of fact, most of the people that work in town live in town. And I'm sorry if you all felt let down by some of the stuff going on, because you are important and you need good people who feel appreciated to work in town. Some aspects of the town have been run poorly over the past few years, but it is our job to look at every option and consider what everyone thinks now and in the future. I did that, and we can do this, but you need to give me a little courtesy and a chance to do it. You're judging me by others' words. You haven't even reached out to me personally. Most of you don't even know my name, except maybe Skinny Girl. I have a name, and it's Laura Lambert, and I am proud of the wife of our fire chief, Eric Lambert. When an emergency happens in town, like the large brush fire the other night, I, along with other association members, are right there with our men and women in the fire department, giving them water and food if needed. I am the association president of Allen's Town Firefighters, and we do a lot of fundraising for our departments and help with events in town every year, but how many of you would even know that? I head up the local food drive through my full-time job every May, which provides hundreds of pounds of food for this community, which is coming up soon. How many of you even know that? And I raised some food for our highway departments during the winter storm this year. And touching on all of you believing everything you read on Facebook, when are we all going to learn Facebook isn't the Bible? I even try to tell my kids that and they don't listen. Back in the day, we used to talk face to face, give each other a call, or leave a message on the answering machine. We need to get back to that. Facebook is like a rumor. It starts as one thing and it ends up being a twisted interpretation. Let's just talk. And on Facebook, Kathleen, you implied that I didn't do my research for this decision, and I did. So my question is, did you do all of yours? You reduced the line in the fire department budgets for fire hydrants that cannot be reduced, as we have to pay this no matter what. I'm giving an example of stuff that I've looked into. This budget line is listed as 12,200 for the year. You reduce this down by 7,200. We cannot bring the line down as we are obligated to pay this no matter what. It is a biannual lease agreement to maintain and repair the fire hydrants. The cost to do this is $168 per hydrant, with 76 being in town, excuse me. Because I talked to the department heads, including your husband that I spoke with for over 45 minutes before this vote. Did you call the fire chief? Did you call the police chief?
So what I did, time was very short. So in the first meeting, I sent that initial spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't hearing anything back, so I did an in-depth spreadsheet and I sent an email that said, I know I don't know what I don't know, this is just a starting point, please let me know where these adjustments should be made.
Okay.
The reason that I suggested cutting the fire hydrants is because it was not expended in 2024, so I didn't know that it was a biannual.
Okay.
Then I did not hear back from the department heads, except for some very angry, rude emails.
Okay.
I heard back from them Monday morning, and I quickly adjusted that spreadsheet. But the reason I took that track is because if we were gonna make this decision, everybody needed that same information at the same time. I couldn't go around and have one-on-one conversations, and who knows what I'm saying to those people and what they're saying to
But
me.
after the fact, you could have given him a call and maybe talked about it to understand it a little bit better. That was just my point.
And in fact, they were on vacation.
We'll do that.
You know,
And then, I guess maybe talking face to face instead of an email. That's my point. Like I went to each department head, I went to you, I went to Chad, I talked to John. There's no capital reserve account we can do to cover this expense until we create one. So if we need, which is coming up this year to do, then we're gonna need that money in there. Just an example. As far as the Facebook posts, I would please ask you to stop putting inaccuracies out there and rage against people because they're making threats against me, my family, and my property. And hold on, I'm not done, please let me finish, please let me finish, you've read all of them. Trish, I do want to thank you for not commenting about my family and I on Facebook. And I apologize for not reaching out to you recently because I haven't, you are the one person that I haven't talked to. I've been so distracted and playing defense on Facebook, it's not an excuse, but I apologize nonetheless.
Life is busy at times.
And as far as me being the fire chief's wife, Kathleen is the road agent's wife, and she's adamantly and viciously standing up for her husband's department. How is what you're accusing me of any different? And I'm not even being vicious on Facebook. I support everybody. How would you like your property being threatened? Hold on.
I didn't
How
threaten
would
your
you like-
property, and I didn't
Not
tell anybody to
But the
threaten their
words that you were
property.
saying.
I didn't say
have
anything bad
how
about
you
you,
made
Laura.
all this.
I did not say a single bad thing about you.
And finally, how would you feel, and this is the most important thing I want to say to you. How would you feel if one of the people you thought might help you on this new journey you were excited for accuses you of being lazy and not doing your due diligence and punishing people you're exercising the right to vote in the lower taxes? Just because the vote didn't go the specific way you wanted it, which we discussed on our walk, it doesn't mean that we can't find a reasonable solution. And to create such hostility towards me and my family, quite frankly, it disgusts me at the moment and I'm deeply disappointed. Please, all of you, give me a chance to settle in, absorb it all without judgment, and help make this town great. I believe I can help. I believe in most of us to come together to make this work. Have a little patience. I will help where needed. I have teenage boys who are always available to help out if someone can't do things on their own or needs help with trash pickup or anything else. Let's get through this rough patch together, neighbor helping neighbor. Let's get the warrant article done the right way so we as a community can decide what we want. Make it better than the way it was previously done. And please feel free to contact me anytime and ask me personally, instead of what's online. This means all of us as a cohesive board working towards one goal, talking, negotiating, compromising, and remembering that we are a 5-member board for a reason. We are never going to always agree, but we shouldn't publicly be assuming that other people, assuming what other people are thinking about any decision. This is unfair. Please reach out to me personally before you judge me. Before you judge to get my side, I will always be honest with you. And not like, if I'm able, I would like to make a motion to have the board support warrant article for the town of Allenstown on the 2026 ballot to bring curbside trash collection back to the town of Allenstown.
I'd like to answer some of that because it was all directed at me. I
Well-
have not said your name at all on Facebook.
It's
a
a
matter of
other
fact-
board members.
as a matter of
It's some
fact,
other board
I didn't
members.
say their names either.
I'm not gonna-
As a matter of fact, I did a posting saying that people should not trash the town, they should not harass the board members. I am also a voter in this town and I did a lot of work and I did present a budget that shows that this decision did not have to be made.
It's fine.
38% of our
Yeah.
population lives in a household with an income, a yearly income of
I
under
know,
$50,000.
I know.
So yes,
told me
I was
this.
upset, and I will talk with the people, I will air back
Point of order.
everything I've said.
Yes, point of order,
We're really not ready.
yes,
Everything I've said on Facebook
That's
is
enough.
factual and you can insert it in the minutes, I did not make up anything.
I didn't say that.
okay. Thank you.
Chair, may I have a document I'd like to read into.
Go ahead, thank you.
So what I'd like to do is, again, explain my position for the decision that I made. Because I explained this at the last meeting, but I think more people were not listening than were listening. So I'll get through this pretty quickly. So, due to the default budget, the Board of Selectmen needed to identify areas of underspending. Trash pickup and disposal, as I see it, is very nice to have, but it's not a necessity. I've lived in this town my whole life. I've gotten accustomed to having the convenience of trash pickup and disposal paid for with tax dollars. Based on the outcome of the Board of Selectmen vote, each homeowner will now have to contract with a private company to have curbside trash pickup and disposal. The Allenstown Transfer Station, as we voted, will no longer accept solid waste. However, we did not vote to completely close the landfill. So my analysis, so upon reviewing the options as presented by the road agent, we had narrowed the choices down to option 1, discontinue the Casella contract, and option 4, go to a pay to throw system and purchase a packer. So when I analyzed the two options, I considered all property owners in town. Almost 30% of the property owners live in cooperative communities. The cost for their trash pickup service is part of their park rent or condo fees. An additional 10% of the taxpayers are business owners who don't use curbside pickup, trash pickup, because they're required to use private trash haulers. This brings the curbside trash pickup service down to 60% of all the property owners. So option number 1 removes trash, curbside pickup and disposal via the landfill from tax dollars. This is the same model as many other towns use. With the use of private contractors, residents pay for their use only. As the price of trash disposal goes up and more people buy goods online, trash disposal is increasing at substantial rates. Number 1 allows the homeowner to only pay for what they throw away. And the following I pulled right off the document that I read at the meeting last Monday, which part of it stated, even if funds were not expended last year, it doesn't mean they won't be needed this year. We need to prioritize and deal with the default budget. Cutting curbside solid waste and landfill solid waste is the lowest risk method that will protect the safety of our citizens. This is the best solution for this year. Warrant articles may be put on the ballot to protect solid waste and the purchase of a packer if that's what the taxpayers want. This is only for about 1 year, depending on voter outcome, is what I said at the meeting. And option 4, purchase bags for curbside and landfill disposal. This option for this year is very high risk because we're on a time critical situation, because we need to underspend our budget as quickly as possible because of the default situation. This would take an unknown amount of time to put in place because of all logistics to be worked out. and all the bids that have to be, be sent out, this would take a lot more time than I felt that we had. So it requires the purchase of a packer, personnel taken from highway department, purchasing bags, negotiating with local stores to sell the bags. Additional underspending of other departments that are essential to our community would also be required. Although it was stated that there would be no impact to personnel in the fire department or police department, when you remove funds for safety equipment, training, essential communication, this sends a message to our men and women who risk their lives each day that the taxpayers are not willing to adequately support them. Both the PD and the fire department heads have stated additional underspending beyond the default budget will result in a reduction in services. There were also additional changes proposed for the jobs at the town hall, which would require personnel taking on additional responsibilities with stipends being removed. This is what motivates people to leave, and they will. For this reason, there actually is impact to personnel. When making decisions that other people have to live with, it's important to consider everyone in the community and also the employees of the town, not only the people that came to the Board of Selectmen when this was discussed and voted on. There are approximately 4,800 people in this town that also need to be considered. Contrary to what was put on Facebook, I did do my own research and thought about this issue at length. The vote outcome was 3-2 in favor of canceling the Casella contract. This is the way our democracy was set up. This is not a punishment, this is reality. We followed our process, however, not every decision will be well received. The use of private companies will allow residents to shop in the most economical way to have their trash picked up. I believe contracting with private haulers is a fair balance between the 30% of our residents living in co-ops and condos, 10% of business owners, and the remaining 60% of our residents, some of which may be small trash generators, like the elderly or people who live alone. Lastly, I'm extremely disappointed to see the information and accusations that was put on and continues to be put on Facebook, especially by a member of our own board. Several people have contacted me to ask me if I'm okay and what's going on, and they're surprised to see the behavior of this person on Facebook. I simply stated, we all make our own decisions as to how we choose to live and conduct ourselves. I will not engage in any discussion on social media, as I do not believe in communicating in that manner. As most of the information is miscommunicated, incorrect, and it becomes like a soap opera that everyone wants to read and comment on. Most of our citizens are not on social media. Some said they have no desire to even read what's there, and there have been some pretty serious accusations. And rest assured, I will never do anything like this to anyone on this board, even when I disagree with the vote. Thank you.
Laura, I still have your motion up here. Let us get through a few more. Let us do the citizen comments and we will bring that up. Danielle, I promise you can have the floor in 2 minutes. Okay? Excuse me, go ahead.
Can I be recognized?
Go ahead, Chief Planner.
Speak also.
Go ahead and speak now, please.
So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Eric Lane. For those who don't know me, I'm the fire chief. And I have been also bitten on this because my wife is a select board member. And when you get threats to be burned at the stake, I don't know what to turn your trash, your yard to turn into the dump. Not because what she said, because she didn't say anything that was there, but it's inciting the people around who don't agree with this to do that. So many of you have seen that I don't do Facebook a lot. I did with Kathleen because it got to a breaking point because she said that I pitted myself against the voters, and I did not. I've been in this town for 34 years in this fire department. The fire department and the citizens are my passion. I've spent countless hours giving back to this community. I'm telling you from my mouth, not anyone else's, I never pit myself against you. I've worked for the past 3.5 years to create an ambulance service to save the taxpayers money. Nobody said that on Facebook, right? I replied back to Kathleen on one post because she, in that very point, she pointed out that I was pitted against the taxpayers. And I'm going to read you a statement that I wrote that basically says, no, that's not the case. I've known Kathleen for almost 20 years. Kathy knows my demeanor, but I'm not mean. I'm a very objective person. I like to listen to all sides before I make a decision so I can make the accurate one. I was not afforded that. I was told that that's what I did. Nobody ever asked me. So I'm gonna start by reading this. I wanted to take a moment to address some of the concerns, comments, and posts on Facebook recently put out since the beginning of this trash discussion. I will start this off, and you guys will hear me. I will start this off by saying we're all here, we all have our own passions for the town with our responsibilities, and mine as a fire member. What I'm about to reach you is in no way negative or derogatory towards any person. It's about objective thoughts to help provide some type of calm and possible solutions. I had different thoughts as to how the board would address this default budget. I thought the board would sit together and discuss and approach at me before any spreadsheets were put out. We have done that before in the past. We have budget hearings where we all sit down, the department heads come together, they sit with the budget committee and the select board to solve problems. That could have been done in this way, not Kathy doing her own thing, a trash just doing her own thing. We could have all sat down with the board, with the department head, said, how do we get to these struggles with a default budget? That was never offered. Basically, I had different thoughts on how the board could address it. So I was never approached, and I apologize, Trish, and I apologize, Kathleen, but I never spoke to you. You never called me to ask me anything about that, right? Regarding my budget, and what the factors, would be that got the contentious ball rolling with this whole thing. It was implied on Facebook, by a board member on Friday, 4/11, that I was unwilling to negotiate regarding my budget. I hope you can understand that the frustration with this, and I believe that these activities were completely false. I was made aware of a spreadsheet and the proposed reductions in it at a meeting, the first trash meeting, with no input. I had to request that sheet from Joe. I didn't get it as department head from nobody on the board of selectmen, right? I thought I was being, so I never got it, hold on. So I was made aware of the spreadsheet and then proposed reductions with no, I had to request the spreadsheet. I never got a chance to give any feedback. I was told that what these would be. I had to leave to visit family, my aunt, 85 years, that I haven't seen in over 20 years for a birthday party to give her my mom's ashes. To visit her on 4/14, and during this time, many more updates came out as I was as far out as Monday afternoon at 3. I did not receive any copies. I just got a word. I got one copy from John that had some stuff in it that did take out the salary lines. But again, I didn't get back until 3 o'clock to explain, to prepare or explain what was requested. I thought I was being proactive because I came to this board knowing that I had $130,000 of shortages to keep the fire department running for the year, right, in my budget. I'm preparing and bringing this forward for a transfer from the revolving fund that the insurance companies deposit money into to help soften the blow, because I knew my budget was going to be underfunded for the salaries, amongst other things. After being given a spreadsheet, I was a bit taken back that no one ever contacted me to see how my budget worked, or how this would affect my operations. Does this mean I wasn't open to looking at these to help work together? No. I understand that we must all work together to make the budget work. I wasn't even given the opportunity to explain my budget line and how they are used. I truly appreciate the work that you did, Kathleen, because you did do a lot of work.
That was the point of the spreadsheet when it was sent. It was said,
But
this is to get feedback.
Yeah,
This is an
it
initial
was.
try.
It was, but to my email that I responded to on the road on Friday was not negative at all. It was explaining it to the fact that I wanted to make it clear that maybe you didn't understand how my food line worked or my cell phone line worked. So here I'm having to defend it on the road. Right, when I'm trying to go on vacation and I didn't know there was a rush to get the budget done ASAP. We were supposed to all sit together. It was never explained by anyone, because you said the default budget passed, it's only 2 meetings past it. Nothing was sent out to the department head that said, we gotta get together, we gotta meet soon. Nothing that was sent from him to me. If I'm correct, Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong.
They were ready to cut trash the very first meeting.
That doesn't mean you sent out emails to us saying we need to
And
get
I
stuff
said,
together.
we need to wait and look at this budget, we should all be looking at this budget.
And we did,
before we meet.
and I already looked at mine, but nothing was sent from the board of selectmen saying that. So let me finish. I truly appreciate the work and reductions in the knowledge. Reductions by Kathleen, I apologize, I truly appreciate the work. But there were arbitrary reductions by Kathleen with no knowledge of what she's paid for. Like the food line I took, for example. Kathleen put in that the food was, I'm proposing this cut as employees can bring their own food, right? That food line is not for the firefighters to have lunch on. That food is for when we have a structure fire, the biggest one we've had in probably 20 years in Bear Brook. that I can go to the store and I can buy food to put out so they have refreshments, because they're working for 18 hours straight the other day, they need some type of refreshments. That's not getting the knowledge to make sure you need it, right? We can reduce the line, but I'm gonna have to spend it because I need to make sure I take care of them. Some lines are available to be funded by the revolving fund, however, some are more critical for taking care of equipment, the fire stations. And need a decent amount, and can't be taken from the fund because that process takes too long. For example, fixing the heat on the fire station, I can't wait 30 days for meetings to get through the process of using a capital reserve fund to fix the heat in the middle of winter. I always like to start with clarifying questions to help facilitate constructive and productive conversations. Anybody who knows me in the fire service knows, and John will say this as I do on a regular basis, I am very much a constructive person. You can tell me I'm bad at something, and I will look at it and say, maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. How do we get to the point of resolution? I do that. So. Did you guys read my first emails from my first projection when the very first spreadsheet came out? Did you get a chance to read that? All of you?
I got your emails Monday morning before the meeting.
Okay, well, they were sent on Thursday. So, the second question is I'll echo Laura's statement and even Diane's is, there's a lot of animosity amongst your employees right now with fear of what's going on. So, and I actually have two people that have asked me and told me that they're looking for other jobs because they're in fear of not having one. So I'm here now to present to you and explain my side of the request for reductions. I also ask that the attacks on Facebook stop. My family is now in the crosshairs for destruction of my property and safety, as I said, burn them at the stake and my yard will be the trash can. Do you think that's fair or productive for any of this? I don't. So, as I suggested, the best thing for us to do right now to come together and work on this is to all sit down as a board, maybe pull together a meeting like I can do at the budget committee members, bring in department heads in and say, where can we make this work together? Instead of one person being an island and trying to take on all the work when they don't truly understand the operations of each department's budget. Just like she explained with the fire hydrants, we can go ahead and reduce it down to $1,000. We have to pay $12,800 this year, whether we like it or not.
Again, we did not have time to go through the full
Well,
process.
the time has to
I
be
said
together.
this-
Please let me finish.
He said that it was preliminary looking for feedback
But
and
you,
did not get any.
but you went to the citizens and you told the citizens we could do it. You said we could do it. that was-
After the feedback, I went and updated that spreadsheet. I still had 800,000.
You-
Yes, we could.
you did not,
Absolutely.
but you did not get my feedback, did you? You didn't.
I got it that Monday morning.
You got,
Yes, and I
you got the
switched, I
old
updated the
spreadsheet.
spreadsheet. Nope, I updated the spreadsheet after I got your feedback.
So if you want the
And I
feedback from the
put it
last sheet
in,
you got, that I,
And I sent it back out and the board members
Oh.
at that meeting said that there wasn't enough time, they didn't review it. So that's why I said they didn't do their research, because in the meeting, they said, you sent us too many versions of this.
That first
We didn't
spreadsheet.
have-
Hold on. Fire chief is speaking. Fire chief is speaking.
hold on.
Then I will speak to them.
But we should have waited to say that to the citizens before we had the full picture, that's my point. We didn't have the full picture, so you shouldn't be telling the citizens we can do this, no matter what the number was, until you had a concrete picture. Cause then maybe she and him could have all agreed on something and said, let's move forward and tell the citizens what's going on. And instead, this has been a constant fight. We're supposed to be working together to make sure the town is good.
In the meeting, I was trying to stop a bad decision. I kept stressing.
wait,
I sent
he's
him
got
the
the floor.
spreadsheet.
Please be quiet.
He's talking to me, I'm going to.
He's talking to the board.
He keeps looking directly at me, talking directly about my actions.
He is speaking.
asking
You
me
can
to-
speak.
Stop. Yes, I hear what you're saying, Catherine, but there's different ways to do that. If you are truly all in it for the citizens, is it in our best interest to stop all these antics that are happening right now and get back to solving the immediate issues plagued by the default budget? I know we will not always agree and see the same views or make the same decisions, but God, right now, the perception is pretty poor in my eyes. I've always used this saying to address the psychology of our jobs and how to stop internal issues. Speculation leads to rumor, and rumor leads to gossip, and gossip becomes the word of God, right? We're at the word of God right now, and there's so much speculation that's going on Facebook. I would like to propose that they get back to the facts of what's going on and provide the citizens the accurate information, so my department can stop. I will tell you, 2 days ago, people were driving by the fire station on the outside, and they were yelling profanities at me and the two guys on duty. Is that productive? Is that the environment we want our town to be in? I don't want it. I've been here for 34 years. I take a lot of pride in my department and my people. We've done a lot of hard work over the years. And I think this is ridiculous that we're getting to this point. So I'm almost done. So I close with this. I'm gonna ask the point blank question to every single one of you. Can I address and bring forward items regarding my budget with non-agendas and constructive work to best serve our citizens? Laura, Diane,
Absolutely.
Kathleen, Rick, I thank you for your time.
I certainly hope so.
I thank you for your time. And if anybody wants to see the last spreadsheet that Kathleen sent out, I did address all of those lines and what they're for with an explanation. I plan on proposing it.
The narrative that was not updated, the
No.
spreadsheet was updated, the narrative I did not update it.
This is my narrative from my thing that you
Got a
really
lot
want
to do tonight, please.
Thank you guys for the time.
I also would like to address the room. My request for department heads to submit their budgets reflecting reduced or changed spending of their 2025 budgets to reflect their contribution to the 657,000 default deficit was my effort to give each department the opportunity to inform the board what changes they thought were reasonable to the operations of their department, while keeping services at a level that was in the best interest of Allenstown residents, that would not cause a huge upset. I scrubbed through the lines and saw that it could be done, but I wanted department head input before making any final decisions, and I also wanted to be able to have discussion. I need to see things in a number format before I can go and have conversation. So that's why I made my request when I did. Before making any final vote to large ticket items like removal of trash collection or any services, any other services, removal of positions across the board, pay increase freezes, etc. I'd like to add that I have not made any derogatory comments on Facebook or in this community regarding any department head or select board member.
And I'd like to speak now since everybody else had a turn. I would like to state that everything I have posted on Facebook has been factual. It's been stuck in a meeting. If people ask a question, I let them know the meeting they can go back to and read the information, read what was said, read the decisions that were made. If people ask questions about how the budget process works, I'm happy to point them in the right direction. I have not said anything derogatory about any board member. I have not directed people to throw trash or to harass any town employees. I have repeatedly stated that all of our services and departments are needed and should be treated with respect and appreciation, but that I also feel trash is important. I understand that the people are hurting and want all their services. That's it.
But you also have said that we didn't do our homework and that we're punishing the voters for voting, well, let me finish.
The punishing the voters was
Can I
said in
finish?
a, no, because this is my turn. The
No.
punishing the voters was said in a meeting, yes, it was,
No.
it was said at the polls,
No.
I heard it repeatedly. I never said I heard it out of your mouth, but I did hear it.
Okay, but the perception that you're putting around is to all of us. And that we all didn't do our homework and that we all are punishing them. I am not punishing any of you for any decision that you make about that. I don't want my taxes.
When we sat in the last meeting, you all told me you didn't have time to research. You
But
said
then-
there wasn't enough time.
But then we all got the options.
We've been
And
doing
we're all-
this since December. What do you mean we didn't have time to research?
You said it in the last meeting,
We all,
out of your mouth.
we all put the options together on our sheet and then we brought them home to all look at it. We didn't make any decision on that first meeting when we got the packet of all of them. I didn't make a decision. I was thinking about two different things. Then I did my homework, I talked to different people, I looked at numbers, and then I made my decision. So for you saying that none of us did our homework and we're punishing people, I felt like that was unfair and it really disappointed me because you did say that multiple times on there. Whether you deny it or not, you did say that quite a few times.
It was said again in public meeting, it was said.
But it was
It
untrue.
was said repeatedly.
But it was untrue.
All right. Danielle, I'm gonna ask you for variance. I didn't anticipate this many people speaking, but there's something I'd like to read into records. Actually, a couple of things here I'd like to read into records, so please bear with me, you wanted to speak first. This is a memo from our police chief that was sent today to the Board of Selectmen and our town administrator, John Harrington. I understand that your meeting tonight will be limited for time and I will not be able to discuss a new topic. I wanted to take a moment to get in front of an issue rather than letting it fester. I am sorry to report that it has come to my attention that a member of the board believes I have created a fake Facebook account. I have not made a fake account. More importantly, I've addressed every question and issue brought up in person or in writing directly to any individual who's raised an issue. As always, I remain available to discuss any issue that anyone would like to address. In addition to spreading the rumor that I have created a fake account, my professionalism, integrity, and ethics were questioned in the post by a member of the board. This raises issue of exposing the town to liability for libel, violation of personnel policies, hostile work environment, and the stress this has created for me in the department. The last round of budget discussions has been stressful, but I have continued to provide all the facts and answers to everything I have asked. I have merely tried to explain why some ideas presented would not be practical and have endeavored to explain why the latest process was not going to be helpful in gaining the results anyone would want. As a mere department head, I have zero control over the actual decision of the board and budget committee. I only advise. Do not go behind anyone's back. I did not lie. I did not spread rumors. I have been a police officer for over 25 years and served the town of Allenstown for almost 18. I have held myself and the department to high standards. Never in that time have I felt I needed to contact an attorney. Having to do so in the last 60 days makes me sick to my stomach. This is not how I wanted to go out. Thank you for your help. If you have any questions, please let me know. And before you speak, I have something to say. The town council told us several years ago, if you're an elected official, it's really wise to stay off of social media. Take a break. On our town Facebook site, we put out information. That's all that site is for. And they reiterated this numerous times, that elected officials shouldn't be keyboard warriors when they're in office. And why? I think we know why. We do now. Well-studied and long thought over difficult decision by a board of selectmen majority has resulted in the spread of malicious lies and falsehoods by a disgruntled member of the minority, fomenting anger and hatred towards the majority because she didn't agree with our conclusions on where to best underspend to meet our default budget numbers was intentional and disgraceful. The three of us have had to avoid patronizing local establishments to avoid being called names or confronted by an angry voter. We've had to endure threats of garbage being dumped on our lawns as retribution for our votes, promising the voters something that two department heads had already told her was not possible without degradation of essential services numerous times, mind you, which was the height of irresponsibility for an elected official. So, please, I'm directing this at you. Please tell us, are you willing to accept a decision that was made legally last week and work with the board, or is this going to be constant chaos for us?
I did not ask any member of the public to post their anger. They did that on their own. I did not ask any member of the public to dump trash on anyone's lawns. I did not.
Your posts were at the very least inflammatory, and we could have that tested, Kathleen. You've got more excuses than Dawn has fixed. You've always got an excuse. This is a result of your post on social media.
My post on social media was saying that I was going to do a citizen-sponsored petition that we could make positive change, we could take positive action. That was my post. I made another post that said,
they're all saying,
do not throw trash and litter around the town. Please do not harass the elected officials in this town. I have done other posts that say all of our departments are important. We need them all. It should not be our process or our intention to try to punish or to create discord. The voters were very upset with that vote. The voters went to Facebook on their own and started.
The majority can stand up and defend their votes. What they can't stand up and defend is you fomenting anger and getting the folks riled up, like we did this to them, like it was personal.
I organized a petition signing
We
and I
know
let
about
them
your
know
petition. We know about
exactly where they can
it.
go.
We're gonna stop right now. We're gonna stop right now. And
Everything's printed, so there's a.
Tanya,
May, after Daniel be recognized, sir.
Well, are we still in citizens' comments? Because I did not allow the citizens to comment.
we haven't even opened citizens' comments.
Are we done with the introductions from the town officials?
These were not introductions, Matt. These were things that had to be said. Okay, now, we will go to, are you here as a citizen or as our state representative? Makes a difference.
I'm here. I resent that question, and I resent the way you're conducting this meeting. I'm gonna take my time to do the public comments, because I've already said that I have limited time.
Have you been to the last two meetings, Matt? It has been fairly controlled chaos because folks didn't pay attention to the rules. This is a business meeting, not a public forum. And these things that have just been said in the chair's opinion.
Will you recognize me in the public comments section?
Of course.
Very well. I look forward to speaking then.
Do I go for it? I say.
Citizens' comments, Daniel, please.
Okay.
Please, and thank you for being patient.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Do I go here? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to start by saying that I was at the last meeting, and I think I speak for a lot of citizens in Allenstown when I say that it's not that we don't value police, fire, and rescue, we do, very much so, and we're not suggesting to get rid of them now, but I think we feel that our taxes, we pay enough in taxes that we should be able to be afforded something like trash removal. So even if it's at just a basic level of keeping the transfer station open where we had to bring the trash. And it's been very difficult for many of the residents to understand why that was the only service the Wyndham needed. And I'm also wondering what we're doing to support our town's future and quality of life, rather than just like, feels like we're just watching it quietly decline. And I went on the Economic Development Committee's website, and nothing has been posted since 2020. Like that kind of speaks to the fact that we're going downhill, and that was that the gas station could be bought and renovated, so it wasn't like anything exciting was happening. And I'm really curious, where are these numbers? So more specifically, I'm hoping the board can clarify how much this decision is actually saving the town, and where we can access all of those detailed budgets, which I know may be complicated sound right now from this meeting, because it sounds like you guys are still trying to find that out. I know that at the last meeting, there wasn't like a spreadsheet from the police and things like that. So I think if those things were more transparent to the public, I think we would feel better about understanding where our money is. And one of my big concerns is, did we really take into consideration the logistics of like the elderly people that can't afford to pay for a trash service? And then, or even other people that can't drive to Concord, because I know a lot of people on Facebook have threatened to dump it in the woods, dump it in Bearbrook, which I love, and I don't want to see trash everywhere, and we've already seen tires being dumped. So that illegal dumping is a real environmental concern as well as health concern for me. And I don't understand how come Pembroke and Hooksett, I think we can all agree, you drive through Pembroke, you can tell when you cross that line into Allenstown, and then you pass back into Hooksett, and they have trash removal and their tax rates are lower than ours, and have we looked at how we can make that possible for us to have those same kinds of things? It's not like geographically, they're a whole lot different than us, and they're that strip right through town, it's just filled with vacant buildings for sale, for lease, and there's nothing in them, and I don't know why, because it can't necessarily just be location, because you're driving through Hooksett, through Pembroke, and those towns are busy, so. I'm not here just to complain, I'm here because I do care about this town, and I just want to understand the choices being made so that we can work together for a future where our town isn't just scraping by, but like actually thriving. And I know it was said before that like we should ask questions of the board if we wanted to not have rumors and not have gossip, but at the last meeting it was said that you weren't going to answer questions, so and I'm new to this, so how does this work? Do we ask questions and you answer them, or do we just say it and then you guys say thank you?
Well, since it is a business meeting, if there's a board member who has a question that's of the material you're discussing, but I'm gonna ask everyone, and I've mentioned it a number of times, we have a long meeting tonight, we're gonna have to do interviews. But we are always available, several of us are retired and are always around if you have questions, we're gladly
I
answer.
did email Diane after the last meeting, but Laura was kind enough to get back to me, so but I did have questions and I did email, but I didn't get an answer. So I sent it to your town email address, like when it's on the website, so. I was a little disappointed.
I'd like to address
Yeah.
your comments about the EDC and
Yes,
and the businesses, the vacant business buildings that we have in town. I recently became ex officio committee, and I've asked that they allow for, well, one committee member happens to be the property manager developer. And I've asked for a very well-established property developer to come in and look at the properties that the town owns, what's for sale, not just by the town, but just in general, to tell us how to best market those departments, those properties, who would want those properties. Hooksett has done similar things, I work in the town of Hooksett, I'm informed about different things that they're doing over there. This year and last year, they did auctions of their property, even landlocked properties that everybody thought,
Right.
are being sold.
yeah,
So there are options out there, and I'm asking our EDC to please pursue with that.
Okay. thank you for that.
And John, where do people find, when they find spreadsheets, like through the budget committee, to know the different lines and stuff like that?
All the budget committee documents are still online. If you look there, right on the landing pages, it says 2025 town budget. That's where all that information still is.
And that was after like the town vote and.
Right, if you want more current documents, email me directly and I'll get you. I'll show them to you.
Okay, yes, I don't want everybody upset and spreading rumors and speculation being made either, but I think transparency is probably the way to avoid that, so that we all understand. And I do want this town to feel like, well, I have to say that I didn't know anybody in my neighborhood or anybody that's in town, but this certainly has brought people together. But I would like it to be for other reasons, and I didn't know about the stuff you were talking about before. But I don't even know where I would find out about that stuff, like. I
And
think it needs to
I'm a
be-
new member too,
Yeah.
so I'm also trying to find my place in this as well.
Right.
To make the best effort I can do to help people.
Right,
So,
and I felt bad and so upset for it, I'm not going to take too much time, but I did feel bad because I think everybody here has the best intention for the town, I just think everybody has different viewpoints. But I think everybody in this room right now is here because we care about the town.
absolutely, as in mine, thank you.
Alright, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
And anyone else, it didn't have to be quick here. Matt, go ahead, Matt, you can start.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Representative Matthew Pitaro. I am the Allenstown State Representative. Before I did that a long time ago, I served on the Budget Committee and the Zoning Board. And I've gotten to know so many people in the town over the years, great people, hardworking, dedicated people. With my current capacity as state rep, I'm handling statewide issues and state legislation in Concord. So I try and leave things to the town government, the municipal government, to conduct the day-to-day affairs of the town. And I'd like to have confidence in how things are going. I want to stay away and let it operate on its own. But I choose to get involved only in times when there's a problem with conduct. And from what I've seen today, the conduct is unbefitting of a government elected position. So I'm gonna take a few minutes here and I'm dividing my talk into two things. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for recognizing Madam Vice Chair, Board Selectmen, Town Administrator. Divided into two things. We can do my questions first, or we can do my dressing down first. So Mr. Chair, which one would we like to do?
I think I mentioned 3 or 4 times, we're gonna be here for a long time tonight. We have to interview candidates. And I didn't anticipate this happening here, but we'd like to at least try and stick to
Okay,
some type of reasonable schedule.
so I can save the browbeating, the dressing down for later, just make sure when I call and reach out that I get prompt responses. For the record, I contacted Chief Stark and I haven't heard a call back, so make sure he calls me. In terms of the other department heads, all the department heads, acting like a cut to spending or a cut to the budget. And it is emotional, it is difficult work, and it's a lot of work where you don't make all the decisions. But you've got to conduct yourselves in gymnasiums full of people in a befitting manner, and that's my message for Chief Stark. This town can learn a lot from the general court in terms of decorum. Trying to address each other by your titles, don't point fingers, don't talk to other board members in the first name, make accusations, don't interrupt people. But let me move on to my questions. So there's a $650,000 difference between the default budget and the proposed budget that failed. What is the difference? Was it more equipment, more personnel, all of the above? Okay. Did the budget committee or the board of selectmen or anyone else with a direct stake involved consider what might happen if the default budget would pass?
Of course we did. I talked about it for months now.
And before March 11th, what was the plan?
We wanted to see what was gonna happen first. We anticipated the default budget and we had talked about it for months. We knew the voters were upset. We weren't happy with the tax rate either.
So according
Can I
to,
answer your question?
Yeah.
Yes.
The only thing that was discussed was cutting trash. They did not discuss, and I sat on this board the whole
Okay.
time, but it's one thing, you weren't on the board.
No, that was
But before the March 11th election, no other alternatives were discussed. It was always just, we're gonna cut trash.
I'd like to address that question as well. Yes, it was mentioned several times that the default budget needed to be prepared in the event of default voting. And we all sat here, that committee at that time, admitting that we knew that a default budget was likely to be passed. However, there was no formal budget presented to this board as far as how would we address deficit spending, because when you get a default budget, it's not just a matter of meeting last year's expenditure. It's also knowing that there's going to be cost increase, such as our health insurance went up this year. So that forces the departments to have to then look at other reductions in spending. And that was not discussed as to, well, it could be trash collection, could be this type of trash collection with these other ideas. That was not presented to the board and discussed by this board and decided on by this board. Only the trash collection.
thank you, and thank you to both select members for responding. On Article 9, if the proposed budget failed, the board may have a special meeting to go over the revised operating budget. Has that been discussed?
No, it has not.
Okay. Look into it, and I think the town would appreciate it, the very passionate town who wants to do everything we can to keep the services we had last year with last year's default budget, that the board look into doing the special meeting based on RSA 4013. Look into it quickly because there might be like time constraints with this legal constraint.
Yes.
In terms of the conduct, we've got to do better. We can't have a room full 40 people and candidates for other town positions to sit through this. The reason I'm here again is not because of any decision or any this, it's when I get wind of problems with conduct. And that cannot occur. So the only reason is back when I was on these boards firsthand, and to an extent being a part of it, there are issues with conduct with these boards. So in every capacity that I can in my position, I want to help the board. You guys can always ask me for help. Something you want to get through the state. But on the other hand of it, we want this to be a good, attractive town, so people are happy to live here and help the town grow. We've got to do better. And then finally, to the extent of the social media stuff and the Facebook stuff, in my weekend job, I do gig work where I'm very popular online and I get attacks all the time. Just if it's very serious, of course, go to the authorities, but also remember all the keyboard warriors, they're cowards in real life, they're heroes on the keyboard. So don't worry about it too much. Emotions flare up, but let's all try and do better and take a look at some practical things where we can maybe not please everybody, but please the majority of the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Hey,
Matt.
Matt, quick question.
Yes, sir.
Since we have a state rep here, and I know you're a busy guy,
Thank you.
and we've got a new biennial budget coming up that I don't think is passed.
Out of the house, it's in the science center.
Right, so how much does Allenstown tend, how much money are we gonna lose in school funding on this biennial budget?
I present the loaded question there to.
I'm assuming facts.
Okay,
We lose money every biennial budget. And then we get a song and dance from the people in Concord. Oh, lots of mandates, you gotta do this and you gotta do that. We wanna make sure our representatives are up there representing the best interests of the town. And I don't know what's wrong with that, you're a state rep.
I appreciate the question, Mr. Chair. Let me just start off by stating the fact that the last time as a state rep in 2021, the budget brought 47% more revenue to this town specifically year over year for the rooms and meals tax. In terms of your current question, it would be inappropriate of me to come back to you with anything definitive because the process is still going through the Senate and then finally the committee of conference and then the governor. I can take a look and maybe give you some hints. I am going up there tomorrow. I'll take a look for you, sir.
Thank you. Sorry, you wanted to speak, go ahead,
Hi.
just state your name.
My name is Stephen McCullough. Actually a veteran. I'm new to the Allenstown. We just had a house built over here. And I had some concerns because, well, for mistake, I think it's very, really honest between all you guys, this has me down in the town now, in the selectmen board. Now, I went ahead and we heard something on the Facebook forum that our trash is being cut as of May 17th. So I got a little concerned. So instead of listening to the forum, I called up here and spoke to the town clerk. And he did explain to me that there was a choice, either cuts for the fire department, police department, or for the trash. I asked him, where did I get notice from? Because I knew where to find this out. How come we didn't get, think that the town would do diligence of sending a letter to all the residents and not just posting it on your town forum, because not all of us have time to go on the internet into your town forum to look and see what's coming up. So I feel like he said only 8% of the town showed up. Well, maybe if we would have got letters, there would have been more of a show, you know what I mean? So now, my question is I know trash is included in our taxes for the town. We pay a little bit less than 14,000 for our taxes. So now, if that's being cut out, it's gonna cost me $650 a year for trash with whether it's Casillas or some of the other small ones. So how is that gonna affect my town taxes? Does that mean my taxes are gonna go down? So I'm a little concerned about some of the stuff. Could you please fill me in?
No, I've had people ask me this before, and I'm just gonna make a general statement. Taxes going down.
Well, are we gonna be reimbursed or something for this, for if our, because
No.
my mortgage,
You are not.
well, my mortgage I took out has, we pay an extra X amount of dollars into it for our taxes. So it's paid at the end of the year. So now I know Allenstown didn't say, hey, it's complimentary, we're gonna go ahead and throw in trash. No, it doesn't work like that. Obviously, you guys are paying X amount of dollars per household. So I just wanna know, since we're not getting that anymore, So if our taxes were 14.5 for the year, and now we're paying an extra 600 a year, so where does that like work into our taxes? Because obviously, if you're not doing trash anymore,
They've taken the money that would have been spent on trash and they're spending it elsewhere, so you're paying twice, you're still paying for trash, the default budget still has that money allotted to trash. And then you're paying again out of pocket.
that's crazy. That's crazy. So my one last question is, so I did call a couple of numbers, and according to RSA 149-M17, that's the Town Responsibility and Authority. Have you guys worked out something with another trash facility for us to take our trash?
We're a member of a consortium with Concord, so residents of Allenstown are allowed to come with the Concord train.
So that's a yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, back to the tax thing, so how is that gonna, so what, so now we're paying, I mean, it's crazy, I mean, it's so high over here. And we're told, when we took out our mortgage, this is what was included, so now we're getting yanked from underneath us, and now we're paying an extra $600 a year. So basically, we gotta take it, that's it. Okay.
I'm not sure I agree with that assessment. And I'm pushing time here, Steve, and I want to answer all your questions. Just know that half of our land mass is state park. We derive no revenue from it. So our taxable footprint is extremely small. And it's very hard to make these things work. And we're constantly having the states in effect. We have to worry about what's coming down from the state, whether it's work for us or not, whether it's gonna cost us money. And we won't know that. We won't know until the biennial budget is passed, if we're gonna lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in school funding again. So it's not as easy as it looks, believe me. We're not trying to shaft anyone here. The majority of the board made the decision with the facts we had that we thought was best for the town. Now, people are gonna disagree with it.
But what if there's a bigger outpour of the people, again, if we would have gotten noticed, again, I feel like, well, we did post something on our forum, so you know what? If you didn't see it, you didn't see it, if you did, you did. If we all would have gotten noticed, maybe there would have been more than 8% that would have came out to vote on it. Right? I mean, wouldn't that been,
For the
doesn't the town deserve, or the residents deserve like more of a notice, like a letter from the town saying, hey, this day we're gonna have a vote?
Traditionally, we have never mailed letters, the cost of the postage alone would be another.
But then we were told though that it was posted at elementary school. I don't have kids in elementary school, so I'm busy. I don't have time to look in the town forum.
Yeah.
Like I work. So if I would have got a letter,
Place you can sign up for email alerts, so it's not a letter, but you'll get an email notifying you, and we're in the middle right now of setting up text alerts. So that might be even more convenient, where you get a text message saying, you know, the deliberative session is coming up next Saturday, or.
I get it. Again, it's more spam, more junk that we're getting on our phone. You know what I mean? I just think it would have been better.
Suggestions for us?
Well, no, I just think, I just would have think, like I said, we could have got a letter. I mean, they would have had way more of a turnout if everyone would have had notice, because we don't have time to go on the town hall. And when you do Google town hall, it offers the address and the phone number. It doesn't link you exactly to the website. So everyone I felt should have got a letter or something, so because we could have turned out. Right.
We're talking about where it got voted to put trash together.
Right.
We didn't get to vote, they voted. Oh, yeah, the actual, removal of the trash was only up to the board. Right.
Okay,
But you could have been informed of that
right.
at the deliberative session prior to voting, that, you know, this default budget could cause this
Okay.
to happen. And other towns do provide inserts in their tax bills to people, so that could be something that maybe we would consider. It's not additional postage, it is additional payment
Okay.
that might cost, you know, so.
Thank you, that would be a good way to.
Okay. Thank you, folks, for your input. We're a little behind schedule here, 15-minute public comment session turned into a lot.
No. They all talked. We didn't get to talk. I mean, it started at 6 and most of it was up there.
I'll grant you that. Please.
Yeah.
Okay. I said I changed my mind.
Okay.
Please, if you have something to say,
Yeah.
please step forward and
Okay.
state your name.
My name is Vicki Van Dyne. I've lived here pretty much my whole life. In 66. Thank you. You welcome. My parents moved here in 66, and I've pretty much been here my whole life, 60 years practically, maybe 10 not. And so as far as what he said, notification of stuff, it's pretty, I, believe it or not, I do not do Facebook. I don't do social media, I don't, because I'm afraid of all the scams and everything else. I have not done it, so there's gotta be a way to tell us that these meetings are coming to a head, so that we can, like he said, we may not have been able to vote it, but we might have been able to present some things to take into consideration when you do vote on it. As far as being a part of Concord, you're still gonna have to pay, right, to drop off the trash. Even though we're part of Concord. So we're still paying the two that we're talking about.
$25.
Yeah, so, I mean.
Minimum
It's-
of 25.
Yeah.
Right. I haven't heard of too many towns that don't have a dump area. I really don't,
One
so,
town did it, and they got run over with bears within a year.
yeah, so I mean, that's my concern is that type of thing. All of these decisions and stuff, I don't keep, I mean, like I said, you can't hear, I don't go out on social media, so a lot of this stuff you don't know about. And I assume there's a lot of elderly too, that don't, so I just, that's why I'm here tonight, it wasn't because of some book. I literally found out about this, walking my dog down the street. And one of the people that's in the neighborhood was walking by and said to me, do you happen to know about Mondays? And I said, Mondays what? And they said, they're gonna start trash. I said, what? And that's how I found out about this. And he said, and they're gonna close the dump, and I'm like, huh? And that's why I showed up tonight, and this, I found out this weekend, and I came here now. So that's the concern. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, have a comment?
I'm not gonna get up to it, I'm shy.
Just please state your name, man.
I've noticed a lot of going on here, and I agree with you, there should be a way to notify us. Because I do Facebook, but I tried to stay off of it, because the last time I was on Facebook, I got yelled at because I didn't do something right, and I just said, well, you can take your Facebook page and you can stick it in your ear. But it seems to me like if you're gonna have some kind of a decision like this, you know people are gonna come out to say something about it. You should not have people lined up to do interviews, so that when we get here, we have to get pushed out the door so you can do your interviews. It should have been a little bit more organized, and that's what I have to say, you should be a little bit more organized.
We were, ma'am, and I apologize. There was a lot of people that wanted to speak. Now, I could have cut it off. I had the authority to cut it off. And I didn't.
Right.
Thank you.
It's pretty poor management all the way around. I've lived here over 40 years, and we get a police car by our house every once in a while. We get free trash pickup, and yet my husband still goes to the dump every day, every Saturday, because that's his thing. Being retired for 20 years, that's one of his things. But still, that's one service that we really need. You have no idea, having lived as far from town as we do, how much junk you see on the side of the road. Even now with the dump, I can't imagine what it's gonna be like if you don't have the dump. We used to have TVs off on the road, out in the park, on places where it didn't belong. This is a very poor idea, very poor idea. It needs to go back to the drawing board. And I know you're in a time crunch. We were part of the budget committee for a long time. And it always seems like the school wins and everybody in town loses. And I'm not opposed to public education. My parents had public education. I had public education, my children had public education, and my grandchildren have public education. But there's got to be a better way. And I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you do need to state your name though for the record, we do have to have that unfortunately.
Lynn Bissonette,
Thank
husband
you.
of Fern Bissonette, the mayor of Amherst.
He was the mayor of GE too.
My name is Al Boulay. I've been in the town for about 4 years. And I agree with the same thing. Communication is horrible, okay, for something this major. And not everybody's on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. My wife is, that's how I found out about this. Other people are finding out, like you said, people walking by and say, hey, do you hear what's going on? Closing the dump, and they're like, what? I mean, something major like this needs to be communicated better. Now, I remember years ago, they used to, when there were important things going on, there'd be posters around, even at when it was Byways there, the drugstores, stuff like that, where people are going in all the time. I don't know where it's posted, if it's posted, so that's wrong. That's terrible communication. And I don't do Facebook, and nobody should get attacked on Facebook. Sorry for the people who went through that. But you get idiots behind the keyboard that think they're tough and just throw things out there. So that's not the medium to use. So we need to come up with something better. You guys need to come up with something better.
And I promise you, we're working on that, sir. I know.
Yeah, but
folks.
when will that be done? That's the thing.
So I will propose right now that our town administrator prepare a letter, a notification that would be mailed out to every resident in the town to announce the trash collection removal.
Okay.
That'd be great.
I mean, this is a major thing.
Because I do know that.
I'll bet a lot of people in town still don't even know anything about this. And they're gonna be surprised May 17th when they have no more trash.
Exactly.
And it is gonna end up being dumped around the town. Not something I would
Believe they
do,
didn't get any.
but it's gonna happen. You know it's gonna happen. Couldn't this have been, if this was a thought, couldn't this have been a contingency item on the warrant ballot, or whatever you call it? When we voted, isn't there a way to say, if this happens,
It could
if
have.
this doesn't happen, then we're gonna revert to this, or something like that?
It could have been a warrant article, most certainly, yes.
Why wasn't it?
Good question. Sorry, I wasn't able to
You know,
make
I
that
mean,
process happen.
then people would know about it, people wouldn't be as pissed off as
You
they
mean
are right now.
People asking
Yes,
if they wanted to
other-
get rid of trash.
Other towns do separate out items from the budget voting
Yeah.
that affects the budget.
Yeah.
They do pull those things out. That's where, when, you know, had we prepared properly ahead of time and had discussions as a board as to what options could be, then you would put those out on the voting articles.
Yeah.
And people can choose.
So you can do separate departments?
Yes, you can.
Oh, good job.
Many towns do it that way.
And if the final decision is no more trash pickup, then at least keep the landfill open so that people can go there and bring their trash themselves, if that's a default type of
I
thing,
believe it's being looked into.
rather than close it all together.
I believe that it is being looked into to be able to dump certain things there. Yes, I do believe that is.
But we
Not-
would bring trash.
Not
That's
trash.
no, but then we're
My
also, yes, but then we're also, you know, we wanna put the warrant article in to give the voters a choice to bring it back or to do a pay to throw. That's what we're planning on doing.
But that's next year.
Yeah.
We need something for this year.
Can't do it before the
And
season out.
How many people on the weekends are come from the mobile home parks?
I would say that
I just.
from our co-op, we did numbers years ago, and it was upwards of 70% of the people that use the
There's just been a
transportation.
lot of statements that
Yeah.
people in mobile homes won't be
No.
affected by this.
I mean, we haven't
I've
done,
got a lot of feedback.
we haven't done it in years, but the last time we did it, it was upward, it was over 70% of people that came in come from the mobile home parks.
Yeah.
Because,
Instead of hiring pickup, they bring it.
well, and
themselves.
it's, some of them still have it, but some of them you choose to use it for recycling, they choose to use it for other things. Fairview Crossing does not have a curbside recycling program, so most of them will continue to want to recycle and will bring it into us.
So that number 60% that was said that only 60% of the residents
It's
use
not,
that
it's not.
is not correct.
It's not.
I didn't think it was, but,
I'll beg to differ, point of order. Under the tax rolls, 60% of the town are eligible to use it. 40% are not. I have the figures, I got them from Avatar.
Every.
40% of the town
You are.
is not under, you look at your businesses, your mobile home parks, they pay for it, they don't get curbside.
But they can use the
And if you look at my
transfer
figures, it's exactly what I said. They can opt to use it, but they're still paying for that curbside.
Mr. Adolfo? Yes. Please state your name.
Ron Adolfo. So don't misconstrue anything I put out there, because I got those
No,
from
it
Avatar Associates.
specifically stated that this did not impact
It specifically
40%
stated,
of the people,
that
because only 60%
40
get trash picked up. That
could
is
you
what
read
was
that?
said.
I said,
Repeatedly.
I said that in there.
I wanna point out.
No, I
that
want,
just-
Kathleen, let me finish, please.
Point of order, let's just keep going with this, gentleman had the floor.
I have two more questions in the
Okay.
house. Was there any thought given to raising revenue by charging for dump stickers like other towns do? I know ours are free and it's great, but if it's a revenue issue,
Yes.
has anybody thought of that?
One
Yes,
of
that
our,
was a suggestion.
one of our options was a pay to throw. So people could have bought a tag or a bag for like $2 or $3 and controlled their trash costs. And then we could have still kept the transfer rate first station open. I did a lot of research that suggested there was absolutely money in the budget for that. But unfortunately, when it came time to vote, that was not the feeling yesterday.
Well, that's unfortunate, if we had the money, why go to option one? Now, my other thing is, how fast does the landfill close? We're not gonna use it anymore.
Not gonna close it.
How?
As Chad would say, we lose our permit, which is very difficult.
That's my point.
Yes.
You lose your permit, and then that becomes a hazardous waste site for us. And then we pay for whatever the EPA tells us we have to do to clean it up.
Yeah.
Which ain't cheap.
It's not gonna close.
That's a guarantee.
That's not the intent of the board, that's not how we voted. No.
I voted not, but is that gonna come up in the future? In the near future?
I can't tell you if it's different. about the future.
That's all I have to say.
Where's that one?
Our communications needs to be, I mean, that should be the one takeaway from this meeting.
Point taken.
Absolutely.
You may fill up this room. To do that, that's what we need to do.
We are really behind schedule. Does anyone else want to speak? Make sure that everyone speak here.
I'll just speak briefly, so we need a time crunch. So David White, here in Elmstone. Tonight it's clearly, the Board of Selectmen are fragmented. The town is fragmented. We need to go back and do lessons. I challenge you to go back and do a lessons learned to see how we got to this state. Obviously, two budgets, right? An operating budget and a default budget. This all should have been planned for last year, well before January. So that we know if you're going to operating budget, what does that mean? If you go to default budget, what does that mean? That should be transparent, not only to the board, but to the public as well. When the public goes to the deliberation meeting, we need those facts. If we're gonna deliberate, we need that information. Obviously, planning did not occur. We went to a default budget, not full planning. Did not occur because you went to default budget and all of a sudden, where do we cut? What do we do? What do we do? We're in a time crunch. All of that should have been done weeks ago. That's what's caused a lot of this friction. I know each of you are really good-hearted people, and you mean very well. And I don't think we need to be at this state tonight. As Danielle pointed out, we need to move forward. We need everybody to collectively, department heads, Board of Selectmen, need to get together, look at back, see what went wrong, and look forward how to go forward. And remember, be transparent to the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else this evening before we conduct business?
I would like to suggest that the 3 board members could consider, that voted yes to have the trash collection removed, could consider in tonight's meeting that they make a motion to change that.
Not without seeing figures.
Exactly, and that's why I'm saying that we should do it, because we do not as a board, have collective discussions across town budgets about the town budget and the $657,000 default deficit. That's why I'm suggesting that.
I'm not sure.
I can't do that,
I don't know.
and Kathleen cannot do that because we voted no. Only the 3 individuals who voted yes to have that done can make a new motion.
I don't know what does that entail. I'm not sure. I don't know about that.
Well, you all said that at the first meeting, when you voted on this, that you didn't even have time to look at the numbers I presented. I don't know that you've looked at any of the other budgets to see if there's a path forward that doesn't require using option one.
And I did look at all your spreadsheets.
But we didn't discuss it
As a forward, yeah.
Yeah,
And
we all had our individual looks at it, and I think that was a correct first step, but it wasn't the last step.
How would we go about that,
You'd have to put it as
This was a deal. We made our decisions based on the facts as we saw them.
Right.
And we went over them. No matter what someone else says, they didn't do this, they didn't do that.
And the fact is, we did not discuss it as a board. That is a fact, and it's not a dare.
We came into that
It's a
meeting
suggestion.
and you let the public speak quickly, and then you each gave it a reason why you were
I spoke.
looking for
Both
one, and
police
then
chief-
Diane made a motion, it was real quick, there was no discussion or exploration of any other
I
possibility.
asked for comment and there was none.
Talked about last Monday.
Yeah, there was lots.
There was a lot.
I asked for comments from the board. Is there anything else from the board? And I got nothing.
Right, we had done our.
Don't say it.
You all read that you were voting no, you were voting option one.
After we're doing our analysis, sure. That's what everybody did. Yes,
Or
that's
should be ashamed of
individual.
themselves,
We
whether
did
or
not
not-
have a board discussion to say what other options are there. Options were suggested, but there was not discussion around those other options.
What about the April 2nd meeting?
Your first 2 iterations, your spreadsheets, I spoke personally to the police chief and the fire chief. What happens if you, in your assumptions, as they said,
You already said it at the
no,
last meeting.
no, what you've been accusing the other 3 members of not doing the work. And that's wrong.
That's not.
Not very-
No, you can be assertive without showing people down.
Yeah, I'm not
I've
saying
noticed
that.
it was done.
In fact, we just recognize that every
People
one of us,
speaking out.
Sorry.
in fact, just recognize that every one of us individually did do research. But there was not discussion around ideas that each one of us came across when looking at that. Nor was there a complete report from all departments of their input to what would work best for their departments. That went on all week.
But we gotta have all.
We got reports from the fire chief and the police chief.
And it did not, one of them did not include spreadsheets, there was other departments. There's the finance department, there's committees. None of that was looked at, as we,
Details going back and
that's
forth.
my suggestion.
Police chiefs, and fire chiefs.
So it was just my suggestions and their response to my suggestions, which came in that Monday morning saying you can't cut these few items. I think it was the food and the fire hydrants. There was very few items. I had found 800,000. So based off those couple emails that Monday morning, that was your information, that was your. I just want to clarify.
No, that wasn't all of our research.
I'm just checking.
How much is this, cutting the budget, cutting that out, how much is it helping with the budget?
377,000, so we still have a little ways to go.
Yeah. It's kind of until they figure it out. Yeah.
Does that mean the meeting's over?
It means just quit.
So.
Table that to the next meeting.
We made the following meeting,
It's not touching
not what's by the RSA.
There's other budget stuff, there's paving, a bunch of other stuff.
And that's what I'm saying, why take action on one? and not visit everything at the same
They
time.
did,
Let that go on, huh?
they did.
Yeah, amend the
And that's the only thing that can be done.
motion. To do it.
I'm not willing to back it out without more explanation, we would not talk.
We spent, we spent 6 hours,
Is my video personal? Made by.
they're down 2 right now.
How many are there?
Point of order,
Please,
we're
please,
talking up here.
please keep your discussions in another room while we're talking if you need to.
Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate
I
that.
believe that I made the right decision with numbers and everything that I saw. You know, with the intent of putting the warrant article in for people to be able to have the decision to bring it back or not, so I would say no to that.
And I feel the same way, I mean, looking at, you know, making the additional cuts and thinking we can, yeah, you know, after Saturday night's brush fire, had we not had guys at the fire station like up there, we'd have lost 2 mobile homes and probably people inside them. We were up there at midnight, bringing up water to the guys, I'm not willing
So
to.
you did review those budgets, though yourselves, you did your homework.
Yes.
I'm just,
I know.
I haven't heard anything, no facts from you, not a single fact, I haven't said, heard a single line that you looked at, a single thing you contemplated, a single, and I'm not just aware.
Yes,
Okay.
okay, let's keep going,
Okay, thank you for hearing my suggestion, I appreciate it.
thanks.
Okay, we're done with public comments now, thank you very much both, I really appreciate you coming out, you're welcome to stay and continue to listen to the rest of the meeting. Danielle Cormier, was that?
Sure.
I thought that was who that was. So that's the next budget item. Agenda item, the next item is the quarterly budget assessment baseline report. And I had thought we were gonna talk about it at the next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, but it was already on there
No.
by the time it's.
Alright,
Yes.
alright, and I just wanna make sure you guys all saw what I was suggesting. I'm open to other suggestions. But I do, just briefly, I do think that as a board, we could really benefit from having those concrete numbers in front of us each time the departments are coming forward and asking for things that I know personally that will.
Yeah.
I do feel that we may have failed in some ways by not. Yeah, you know, I can't, you know, they were, you walk in, but you know, I know myself.
Sounds good to
They've
me.
done a good job.
Absolutely. So yes, we'll table that.
Alright, so we'll bring that back next meeting. Town administrator.
I do have an update on ARDs for the board. On April 15th, the diocese exercised their right of first refusal, so they are gonna pay ARD. I also mentioned in my email to you prior to this meeting, there are existing facility use agreements with AES that I'd like you to consider. Currently, there are 2 cheering groups, a village basketball group, and the Allenstown Police Department, all using the building throughout the entire year. My concerns right now is I don't have any infrastructure to maintain the building currently. So if you are gonna decide to allow those groups to continue to use the facility, I got confirmation from the Allenstown Community School facilitator that they typically leave the building open, and once the groups are done, someone goes back and locks it back up. We again don't have custodians to do that, apparently their staff have been doing it. Also, the liability of people going in and out of that facility,
Right.
we don't know, 2 of the groups involve children. Again, I'm not sure how many people are involved with these activities. I did determine that they don't have keys or access to the code, the building's left open. Who would cover that? So I'm really looking for guidance from you folks on how to address those. I've already had emails from several of the organizers wondering what is going on. So I'd like to get back to them with a decision.
Right, so a big concern for me is insurance, right, that we have the correct insurance in place.
That was put in place as of the close.
Okay, that would also address general.
It's our general product, building and liability.
So I would also want to see from each of these groups, you know, who they are, what they're doing, and how many people, you know, what is the activity, how often are they coming? What do they need in the building? that-
They're all using the gym.
But, you know, are they, you know, just how many people, what are they doing, you know, all those things. I'm not necessarily against any of it, I just don't know what it is.
Well, at the end,
Know that
and at the
before
end of the
making a
day,
decision.
we don't have a way to keep the building secure when they're coming in,
Right.
right? For me, it's already been vandalized once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my biggest
Yeah.
concern. I heard about the vandalism issues.
Yeah, so
And leaving the building open and then going back and closing it, I don't think it's a good option.
I don't think we're staffed up to keep that controlled.
Yeah.
We'd have to at least temporarily cease those groups using the building.
yeah, I think that's probably the best thing to do for now to see, but explore, see if we can find a way.
Yeah.
Cause I do feel bad, I know that they're depending on that facility and using it and themselves and stuff, so we'll research and see if we can find an option, but right now,
Suspend the agreement.
yes, explore.
Should you reach out to the community school and see if they may have options for these groups to go there?
My
I can.
Yeah.
Well, what if you reach out to those organizations, have them reach out to the actual school?
I don't see that as my role.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right,
thank you.
yeah, they can see them there or,
Yeah, maybe.
So do you folks want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to suspend any extracurricular activities from happening at the, what is the house there?
30 Main Street.
At 30 Main Street until further decisions can be made.
second.
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diane, I?
Right. Tricia.
Thank you.
Now, John, you mentioned the PD uses it as well,
Yes, they do tactical training in there.
so they're part of the town, so they should be able to continue their use, right?
If somebody from our PD always with them.
They
yeah.
facilitate their training,
Right.
it's on scheduled days, so I would be more comfortable
That should be
with
okay,
the
you're already back in town.
Yeah,
Right.
as long as they can walk it up after.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, they can come get a key from me, use the code, lock it
Yeah.
back up.
Right,
So if you want to amend your motion
Sure.
to just the outside town activities,
So stated.
second,
All in
or
favor?
amended second.
yes, and then,
Okay.
yeah,
And then it's a second. All
oh,
in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diane, I, Laura, I?
Tricia.
You all got information on text.my.gov, I sent it to you in an email, and you also got the proposal. Any comments on that about,
That's great.
The idea.
I think with all these commentary on
Conversation that we've all
communication.
been having, I think it would
Yeah.
be very.
We definitely need it.
Yeah.
What, do you have any update on the signs, when the signs are going in?
I do not,
Really, the end of June. The last time I heard with the.
that's the last I've heard, I can double check again.
So getting back to this, there is cost to it. So, the default budget that we're in,
And I had a proposal to keep it out of the budget this year. That newly discovered PDIP account, I would like to take the initial first year out of that account, which does not affect the budget. Going forward, we would include it as a line item expenditure in the next budget. It's $6,500 this year, $4,500 going forward.
I'm good with that.
and we're
People
gonna,
definitely want better communication.
This would be a step in the right direction.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Oh, I'll second.
Second. Okay,
all in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diane, I?
Laura, Tricia.
thank you. And I also need a motion to allow me to electronically sign the agreement. They don't do paper contracts on behalf of the board since you're approved.
So stated,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diane, I?
Laura, Tricia.
Also information on webpage updates, did you all get
Yeah.
through those links and take a look?
Some of it, yes.
I wasn't looking for a definitive answer tonight, but I will have it on the agenda for the fifth. Hopefully, we can come to a joint decision on what's the best look going forward. So I can fill out the questionnaire.
Look at all of them, the link to go to Meredith, for some reason, I think it's still this computer, I can't seem to get on any outside websites, like it caused my whole computer to shut down. But the other thing I wanted to mention is when we were talking about the website, I had mentioned having a committee form, so once we pick which website, did we vote on it? I'm not sure.
We had discussed that, and that would be a great idea. I know I've had community
Yes.
questions on being involved with the committee.
Yeah.
So the first step is really looking at what you want it to look like. That will determine the cost of going through the process. If you're good with the cost and we find an ability to pay for that, then form the committee and start building the page. And I will bring in people who have already expressed an interest.
I guess my thought was we were also gonna have input from the community on what the look and feel of it should be.
But we have to make sure we can afford it.
Yeah, I know.
And they won't give me a price unless you determine what you want it to look like.
But once we pick that, there's still lots that they can
You-
control, so
Right.
once we
You
pick
still-
that, they'll.
That Kathleen is correct, it's
Yeah.
just a
Okay.
template, you have to build it
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
scratch.
Okay.
And then before I forget, I wanted to make my motion about the AES study committee.
I'm
And I
sorry,
didn't know.
Johnny,
what I did.
John,
Not
oh,
yet.
sorry.
Nope, that's okay,
Jumping the gun.
that's okay. The school board had reached out, we thought we had an additional joint meeting, they're very interested in keeping that going. I believe you brought it up earlier. That meeting fell through, still looking for the next scheduled date put out to have a joint meeting again. We wanna continue that process. And the last thing I wanted to bring up, I believe Trish had mentioned it before, there's a couple of pieces of legislature moving their way through the State House right now. One being House Bill 297 that had to do with the pooled risk management groups. That is a real thing, it's going to happen. I've had someone reach out to me from different organizations that are other risk pool management organizations, and I'm going to set up meetings to get some numbers from them. To try to bring that back to you. And the other piece of the legislation was expanded 91A. And what that would mean for the town. Right now, what they're trying to do is they've changed the legislation from citizens, which was the original language in the
New Hampshire citizens.
New Hampshire citizens, to person, which opens it up to anybody within our state and outside our state.
Yeah.
And also giving them the opportunity to dictate what type of media they would like, electronic, printed, put on a thumb drive, whatever method they want.
And then to complicate that more, New Hampshire citizens would be given all the options potentially, and then other people would only have certain options to select from. So all of it's very complex, adds more to the burden of the town staff
Yeah.
to have to meet those right to know requests.
Yeah, you could have somebody who's worried about federal laws in California, barring, we had something like this. When I was clerk that we were concerned about, but it didn't.
Many times, I've had the experience, you will get bombarded by marketing companies, real estate companies, developers.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're relying on local town government staff to do their homework for them. And it can be a real time sink, for people who are already pretty stretched with what they're doing. The only capacity we have is we can dictate how long it is reasonably to get the job done. But still, it's going to have to be done at some point if this goes through.
So my suggestion is that we do, if the board is all in agreement, have a letter from us stating that we are opposed to those.
The 91A expansion.
That, we talked about.
I thought we talked about this already, didn't we?
Did we make a decision? I know we didn't get to 297.
Not the 91A expansion, yeah, we're getting about
297.
insurance risk.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, which is moving forward,
Yeah.
insurance risk forward. And 91A, that probably was, but expansion, but at least we can send a letter saying.
So you're gonna draft a letter? This year, okay.
We have all the addresses.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, we're keeping you in practice this year, John.
Thank you.
So would you like to make a motion to draft letters concerning 91A?
So moved.
I'll second,
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diane,
Laura? Trish, aye.
I'll have those for the next meeting.
Thank you.
I'll throw, thank you.
Make that motion now.
Are you done your report? Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, since we're just getting off 91A, I just wanna state one thing, for the public record. I had asked John today if anybody over the past couple weeks since, early April had done any 91A requests for any town information, and I just wanna let people know that nobody has, no out of town landlords, nobody in town has done any 91A requests for any information. I just want to say that. And then I do wanna make a motion for the AES study committee that we were talking about forming once we bought AES. The purpose of this study committee would be to take a look at the building, see if it's financially beneficial for us to develop it, keep it as a town hall, or if it would be better to sell that building.
The Harriman report, how does that fit into all of that? Cause I believe we did a study and a report on that beforehand, before I was here.
That's pretty outdated from my understanding, that was done. Prices have changed, the use of the building, proposed use of the building from the time that they did that study has changed.
what was the proposed use of the time when they did that?
So I think they were just talking about town hall going there, just the town employees. I don't know that they were talking about renting it yet or having, the school or having boards and committees or expanding. So it's
No,
very
There
small.
were, the blueprint showed businesses and town stuff,
Yeah.
as well as the school portion. It was on the blueprint. David and I both looked.
Yeah, study. So renting or rental space,
Okay.
development, yeah.
The other thing that,
Yeah, it was on the business
You
side.
know, we haven't
considered maybe
South side of the building.
PD could be over there, and if that other property that they're in, is prime real estate, and it could be sold. You know,
I said, blueprint spec out the rules for business.
would probably be a pretty easy, you know, right? But these are all the questions that we don't know.
So the point of this committee is to actually study it, so again, we're not making a decision without doing our research. Like this way, these guys would, well, they'd come back and let us know the facts and figures. The numbers that we're looking for, so that we can decide if we are going to keep the building and develop it. Or if we're going to sell it, we know exactly what that financial implication is, exactly how the taxpayers will be impacted, not just today, but in the future as well. So to me, it's very prudent that we have this committee and do this research ahead of time before we make such a huge decision like this magnitude.
So I have a question, a couple of questions actually. So membership to consist of the building inspector,
Excuse me,
what?
has there been a motion or motion read?
No, just.
No.
Motion read.
So I'll make a motion to establish the AES study committee, membership to consist of the building inspector, one trustee of trust funds, the road agent, one member of the fire department, one member of the police department, one member of the budget committee, one SAU representative, and 3 members of the public at large, creating a 10-person committee. I propose that committee because I feel it gives representation from every department in town and the people that would be involved with the trust funds and the SAU, where they are one of our renters, and the general public, so that people from the general public are involved and be able to take a look and give feedback and see what's going on.
A point of order, Madam Selectman, a point of order.
I'm gonna pause the discussion to second the motion,
Okay.
now we can have discussion.
Point of order, Madam Selectman. I talked to Attorney Braderman, not Braderman, but who the hell is up at the Municipal Association,
Oh, Steve,
Steve Buckley. Department heads do not need to be assigned, only citizens. Under the,
Yeah, but I would like that to be on this
Right,
committee,
but
and I can put
they
department
can come in,
heads.
they can come in and out as needed, so the only official people that have to be put on there, because I was one of the original members, you people voted, it's in the minutes. I'm on
But
it,
I didn't put the
Right.
department heads, I
Right.
put one member of the fire department, one
Right.
member of the PD, because I know
Yeah,
where
you
Beth
can
is
pull 'em
coming in as the new chief, she may not have time for that, and may want to designate that to
Right.
somebody else. So I'm just making sure that there's a representative from all the departments.
you can bring them in and out according to law, as you see fit, if they're town if they're town vested. Like the department, if you need the road agent 1 week, you can bring him in, if you need the fire inspector 1 week, you can bring him in.
I think
It's the
it would
three,
be a
citizens
good
that have to be
idea to
officially,
have all of the people
have to be
on
officially
the
done,
committee
right,
and participating in as many meetings as possible, because you don't always know when you're gonna need feedback from an individual. It's much better to have them all there discussing it and learning together and making those decisions and doing that research, so I think that would be much more beneficial.
because we had started a whole sequence of what things were gonna need to be done and who the individual parties were gonna need to be. Because from an infrastructure standpoint, you have Brian that may be doing part of the construction, you may have somebody else doing part of the fire and life safety stuff. You might have somebody else doing internal office infrastructure. It was all spelled out.
You can decide that
so-
and decide what meetings each individual would be attending to, so that they, aren't unnecessarily burdened. I would suggest that a select board member be included in that. We don't have the process here in Allenstown that are different committees and boards. I mean, Mike Presnella does it during citizen comments, but we don't have the practice of having these boards and committees come back and report to the select board. Our process is that we have, select board members as part of each committee and board, so that there is some representation there. And we would be the ones responsible for bringing back any, thing that might need to be discussed within the board, within that process.
Can I amend my motion right now, or do I have to wait?
No.
Okay, I would amend the motion to add one member of the Board of Selectmen to the committee.
Second that amendment.
so we're still open for discussion, right?
Yes.
So why one SAU representative?
Because the SAU is renting off us right now, so I want all stakeholders, everybody who has something to
All right,
gain
I
and
didn't
something
understand
to
that.
lose from this
Okay,
transaction.
So you've got one member of the fire department, but, so you've got building inspector, that's fine, but what is Lauren's role? I think Lauren should be on here
So,
as another compliance person. And that would not be the fire department's position.
so as the chief, and not being the expert in the field, I would assume that Lauren would be the person that would work with Brian to go through that, to make sure that the codes are met. I would have no opposition that I can sit in the back of a meeting and listen to it all day long and give Lauren some insight based on the chief side of it. But
And these meetings are all open to the public, I think you're getting a little hung up on the membership, like it's suggesting somebody can't attend. These are open to the public and anybody can attend at any time, they should never be private, so if two members of a department wanna go, they could,
Yeah.
like, that's not great violating anything.
So then, I was looking at the rules of procedure, where it talks about ad hoc citizens advisory committee, so. It says these committees shall be established in a written document stating the specific purpose, mission, goals, objectives. That the committee is to achieve or attain, and declaring that the committee is dissolved when these have been attained or by a certain date. So. I mean, I'm okay to go ahead and do this, but as far as these requirements should have, the output of these requirements should be a document that says, here's what the role of, this board is, here's what the role of that board is, because otherwise, people are gonna misunderstand what they're there for, and you're gonna have a lot of crosstalk and people just doing stuff And they're gonna come here and we're gonna be like, what? You know, I think that's important to have that. To meet this requirement, and the output of that is what we look at, review, comment on, and vote on.
So do you wanna do that before we pass this motion? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm trying to think, is there any benefit to voting for this without having the output? I guess, I think it's a good idea, I think we certainly need to do that and have, you know, people involved and come back, because it'll give us a lot of arms and legs.
I think we know what the output is, and it's, you know, we're looking to determine.
But you know what, if
From
we,
selling.
if we get all these people to say, okay, here's what you guys are doing, believe me, 10 people are gonna walk away with, we know that, right, with 10 different interpretations of
No,
what we
I
think they should be
understand what you're
doing.
saying, yeah, I'm just
So
saying,
I think we should
word that.
I think we should produce a document and, you know, whoever, I mean, I've written procedures like this before, I can shell it out and then we can get together and say, okay, what is the role, like the role of the building inspector, that's probably pretty clear, right? I mean, that's building. Trustee of trust funds, what do?
They control the money that's gonna be.
Right, but that's what we need to put in that document, I think, so it's very clear, because you're gonna have people cross-talking and stepping on each other's toes, and I don't think it's gonna be really efficient to do that without having this document, and then we meet with them, once we agree on it, we meet and say, okay, you're in this role, here's, you know, read through this document, do you understand your roles?
I don't.
Can I
Is it sign their rules? I thought the committee got together and themselves, yeah.
I believe that's in the policy and procedure of the Board of Selectmen.
Yes, that's not, yeah, I'm a little confused.
No, to assign committee, so yes,
Yeah.
it's-
Assign the committee, but also to,
but that's
delineate
what that
the-
document says, you have to outline it
Right,
when
it's
you're putting the committee
right.
together.
Right.
And
Can I-
can I mention something?
Did you guys do one last time?
What?
Did you go over rules? Or
No, we
sign
only had like
rules?
one meeting.
Yeah.
No,
I didn't know if you did it at that
Correct. It was a different time back then. We didn't know about the pre-K, we didn't know about the revenue coming in, we didn't know about the age of the boilers, we didn't know a lot of things. So I just want to clarify that a committee is great, and to expand on what Diane says, know your role as part of this committee. So let's take it back a couple of steps. I most likely, in the future, will discuss with the board that I'd like to renovate the bathroom and make them ADA accessible. Okay, everybody's on board, it's common space, why not, right? So we should be able to move forward with that, and I have a cost in the Harriman report to do so. Do I need a 10-person board, committee, whatever you want to call it, to help me do ADA bathrooms? No, unless they want to tell me that tile color or the light fixture, so
I
this
think
is
you're
why.
right about this, because that's not what I'm intending this
Right.
committee for.
See,
Yeah,
Right.
this committee should look at everything ahead of time, you should be telling the committee, I plan on doing this. Figuring out what that is gonna cost the town, how it's gonna impact us to do all those improvements if we keep that building versus just if we sell it.
Correct,
Yeah.
so that's good.
You have enough money in your trust fund to get that building operational.
The committee in place, okay, like Deerfield, can we open a pizza place there with ovens and weekends and everything else? Oh, wait a minute. Right, the committee
Yeah.
says, oh, security, liability and everything else, so I don't know when this committee will ever terminate. But it's a great idea to have it, but I just don't wanna see it a stumbling block to handle the life safety improvements that need to happen in the common space.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we talked about this school, we're buying it for $1. We kind of know what the purpose is, we have money set aside to fix it, and we're moving forward with it.
No,
So-
we didn't say that.
I understand, we wanna move forward with it
some,
at a point in time. And that's why I'm thinking is, I'm not ready to say, let's do the bathrooms over, because now, are we ready for the bathrooms? Well, it's common space. It's less than, let's build an area for a law firm. And let's now try to find a law firm that will move in there. Oh, that's kind of too much.
Right.
I support your committee,
but I think the role should be defined, that's,
Yeah,
thank you.
we agree.
Yep, definitely sounds like it.
So is this too, so I keep hearing we may sell it. If we sell that building,
I want to see what the impact is of keeping it. What is it gonna cost the taxpayers? If we maintain that building,
Yeah.
how much are we gonna be having in revenues? What are our costs gonna be every year? I wanna know what's gonna come down the line in future years as well. What are rental rates? What are we planning forward? I think it would be great for us to keep the building. I understand that it is a huge advantage to us, and if we can do it, that's great. But we should know those numbers, because as we just learned, we went to a default budget and our citizens have just lost a service that they very much want. And if we take over this building and it costs us even more money and their taxes just keep, and we start yelling at them next year that we need more money, they better not vote default. I see it happening all over again. We need to really study this and make sure that this is a decision that is affordable and in line with what the people want to do.
And I would add, it's prudent to look at what would it look like to sell that, so that it's now taxable property, and what that revenue could look like for the town.
we would make enough money to build another town.
And
So-
so I think this building is sufficient.
Yeah.
Well,
I
so,
personally. do.
okay, so if we
That
get
has
on that
served
road,
here many years.
where are we gonna vote? Where are we gonna have meetings like we did last Monday,
That's our,
right?
yeah, but that's
part
why
of it.
we're asking for the committee, because it's a 5-member board, so no one of us gets to make that decision. But we should do the research, so that when all 5 of us cast our vote, we had the time to make the research, to do the research.
Because we didn't talk about staying here. So we should probably think about that as well, thinking about all of this too, if we're gonna stay here.
Yeah,
That was
but
a session that
that's,
we all have.
yes, yeah, that would absolutely come into play. So that's, in my mind, this AES study committee is looking at that, looking at the financial implications of if we sell or if we keep it and continue.
Okay, so I think what we need to do is, if we could not vote on this tonight, and at the next meeting, bring more definition of what we're
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah.
Because right now, I don't think it,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
think
I
voting on this.
I thought Brian knew what it was, and he didn't even, he was on the last committee, so no, yeah, it needs.
If we just find anything, it's.
Yes.
Definition, so.
Yes.
So I would withdraw the motion to establish an AES study. committee.
Kathleen made the motion,
All the time.
you made the second, withdrawing the
Withdraw
second.
the amendment.
David's got something to say.
Well,
If I may speak, I did bring 3 proposals regarding the school. One was to keep AES and renovate, and I gave to that based on their.
Let's speak up. I was,
yeah, that here's how to hear you.
that hearing,
So I gave 3 proposals
Yeah.
previously at this meeting,
yeah,
what we could do with the school, and I proposed that we could sell the building. I proposed build a fit for purpose town hall, and I also proposed that we keep this town hall. So there's 3 different options, I gave the clarity around each of them. So what I'm proposing is that, so we don't make the same mistake as we just made with this default budget, is that we put a document together clearly defining what the committee will do. It's reviewed by the members prior to the meeting, so the decisions can be made.
Are you willing to share that with us by email so that?
Yeah, I can send that.
Okay. Send it to John so he can send it to us, because this person that sent me an email, I searched my emails and I do not have an email. So. Just, yeah, go to
Can I
John.
make a comment?
Yeah.
Thank you. I agree that we need a study committee, but I don't understand why. Whether it's 10 members, inspector, fire department, at this early stage, why, I think we need more. Like David said, more of a study that even if you're already talking about fixing bathrooms, but we haven't decided whether we're gonna close the building or sell it or demolish it. So,
But it all feeds into
Yeah,
that.
we won't be able to make that decision
Yeah.
without the feedback, because those people need to say, according to ADA, it's gonna cost us 60,000.
I understand, but I think the committee can always go and ask the fire chief, what is your opinion? This is what we're thinking. I don't know, If you, a
It
ten
won't be as
member
efficient.
committee, is that really gonna get anything done? That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Peter, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
We do have a time
Yeah.
crunch,
I'm
so.
just gonna add, we need to assign dollars and cents to each of the options. So at the end of the day, we make the best educated decision.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
So any other
Are we done?
business?
Oh,
Yes.
yes, I have.
So you tasked John with sending out a letter. John and I talked about, about doing a letter. Early this week. Or last week, we are early this week. That being said, we just need a little bit more clarity as far as what we might want to take and still at the transfer station. So I know we want to keep it open as much as we can, and by all means, I want to keep a permit. That's my biggest thing.
Yep.
So my thought in talking to a couple other facility managers, is that our best approach would probably to continue to take leaves and brush, like we talked about,
Yep.
scrap metal.
Yep.
I would suggest we still take mercury devices, we take lithium batteries, because now that is a law that they can't go in the trash, or it will be soon. Copper,
Electronic.
some electronics. The thing with it is how far do we wanna go? I think for a minimal cost, we can continue to take TVs, refrigerators, and you know, and stuff like that. It's I think we looked at what we spent like $1,000 last year, pulled a lot of the budget for TVs. Those all come in with an offsetting revenue, but because of the offsetting revenue, it doesn't help the budget or in our default situation.
Right.
You know, but I think if we continue to take those things, and we can talk about still taking mattresses as well, you know, couches and stuff like that.
Originally, when Chad and I were looking at the yearly report,
Yeah.
I was focusing on just those cost positive recycling. The ones that were a cost to the town, even though we got some minimal revenue, the cost of disposal puts in the negative. So Chad and I talked, focusing on just the cost positive, and then he suggested possibly adding some other items in, still costing the town, but knowing that would still come out of the budget.
Can we have an amended fee schedule to address them?
Absolutely, and we have one, it's sitting on the desk, but it's been.
Now it's been greatly reduced, we'll just have to update it.
And this will allow you to maintain your license.
Yes.
Yes.
I did verify with DES, as long as we are open and taking in some items, there's no maximum or minimum to what you're taking in. Our transfer station would stay open and permitted.
And types of things are not a
No.
constraint either.
No, the thing is that brush and compost and like, that's not even part of our permit.
Right.
So that, those kind of,
Maybe it
they
doesn't
don't
have to be
even
both.
count as part of what us continuing to run operations.
Yeah.
Waste oil would be another thing we would
Right.
continue,
Oh, good.
because that is part of our thing.
Yeah. Good.
So-
So next year, if the people vote to put trash, curbside trash pickup and just more dumpsters at the dump and business as usual.
One of the issues is with Casella going, they're taking all their containers. We get new containers.
Right, so with this, the thing we would have to renegotiate with Casella would be continue at this point would be the
Rental of them.
rental of the. If you decide to go bulk waste, we'll call it mattresses, furniture, those big items that we take.
There would be a monthly charge to have that container stayed.
So right now it's running, it runs us about $100 a week to have that container in. And then pull it, including the amount of material in it. That's part of our contract.
Pull that up on
Yeah, so every Wednesday they come in, they scoop it up, they take it away, they bring us a fresh one.
another one.
So if you guys wanted to go forward with that, I think that's something that would probably benefit the people. I mean, right now I'll tell you, in the last 12 or 10 months, and I know everybody's saying illegal dumping, it's been happening anyway.
I know,
It happens.
that's what I thought.
You know, I mean, we picked up 22 mattresses off of her last 10
So
months.
what do we do with them now? The town has to pay to get rid of them?
Yeah, we pay to get rid of them at that point. So I think we address the fee schedule and we continue to take those items. I only wanna push this because I'd like to include it in John's letter. You know what I mean, that allow the people to,
And what's the plan for your letters to go out on every household?
yeah, and I'd like to,
Yeah.
Yes. yeah, we did it like we did when we did when we took away the recycling, we
Yeah,
ended the
right.
recycling, we went around handling it. And that way,
Because if we do, well, what, you know, people are suggesting, send mailings out 3-4 times a year and get what's
That's
going on town. We
Yeah.
could put some money in
Yeah.
for postage.
yeah, we got,
Well, and that's that way, I would suggest we do it in their tax bill,
yeah.
so
But
that
that's once a year.
it's twice a year.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
It's
that's
not,
twice a
you
year.
know, it's not as often as
Right.
people might like, but if we, you know, like last year, we knew well before the second tax bill that we were facing a default budget. And, you know, if we had some prepared statements.
And then more people
It
would
would
be
be
involved in the
So-
deliberative sessions and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting involved this year, so that's what
Let's
we
learn on
want
both
to think.
sides. Let's learn on both sides.
Yeah, exactly.
Both sides.
So,
Okay.
All right,
we need to
sorry.
make a motion.
But also subject.
are you good with that? I mean, all I need to know is, yes, if we can take in, I'm looking for the okay to take in items that people have to come here and pay for, but they might actually come out of the budget.
We're gonna continue to spend money.
But that being said, by the numbers you got in my proposal to reduce, those were all of trash effective July first.
Mhm.
So I think the reduction, we'll see that the reductions are gonna be more than that, so if we can squabble a little bit out of it.
So, okay, so you're saying like mattresses, furniture, and stuff like that, can we can adjust that price?
Yeah.
Yes,
These will not. affect
They won't
the budget.
cover, okay.
until the revolving fund.
That will go into revenue, it won't touch
Yes,
us in the budget.
okay, that's, okay, you're
So in
right.
other words, if we take in this bulky waste, we will still be expending money
To get rid
that
of.
we're trying to reduce from
Okay.
spending.
But if we don't, we lose our license.
No,
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 well,
there's no jeopardy of
We
that.
just keep the convenience to the tax.
It's a convenience.
Right.
And we don't know exactly how much money, because it depends how much furniture people bring in.
Well,
Is
it's a
that,
standard hauling fee.
can we
Yeah.
handle that? I mean, is that a reasonable thing?
I haven't done the figures for that.
Would,
I'll
if
say
we,
for my budget research, I think we can.
So it'd be $100 a week.
Yeah, I think it'd be just fine.
well, currently our bulky waste is $100 a week. I think if you looked at what we spent last year, we spent about $1,000 on TVs. I think it was like 1,500 on free on devices, which are air conditioners, all that,
Yeah,
refrigerators or anything like that. Depending on what Casella says about the bulky waste would be the hinge on it, but I could estimate that I think we could get out of this for the rest of the year spending less than, or somewhere in the neighborhood of 10,000 to 15,000. So it's not a huge number by any means,
yeah,
but I think for the convenience of, what's gonna happen is if it ends up on Dodge Road, we're gonna pay for it anyway.
I know,
I'd rather get the $10 in revenue
I agree.
flip flop it.
and there's always the option as board that we, you know, third quarter into our budget say, this is not
No,
good.
right.
We need to adjust this.
And we can look at what we're spending, absolutely, you know, I mean,
You
in our,
watch the week to week expenditure
Yeah.
report, and if you see it's climbing too high, you make an adjustment.
and our RRA is, well, who cares? Takes care of 90% of this for us, sends out a very nice monthly report. And they tell us how much we use, how much revenue we're getting in, how much it's costing us. So I think it's easy enough to stop if we have to. But I think it would be a good start
Okay.
moving forward, you know.
That's fine.
Yeah, I think we need a motion?
No. Is there a general consensus?
I agree.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
We go ahead,
All right,
we'll
so,
talk tomorrow.
nope, I'm leaving.
Where are we?
That's good. Is there any other business? I do have one thing. I know it's been wrong for a bunch of people here, everybody. Yeah, in the past couple of weeks. So there was one motion, Kathy, that you made, and I'd like to make a motion to reconsider the prior motion to allow all board of selectmen members to request information at any time, and that the information requested be sent to all board of selectmen members. That's a lot of information going to John, and, you know, needing to turn around information real quick. I'll ask him to weigh in on it, but it's really sometimes cuts into what he should be doing on a day. And I don't, you know, I don't wanna say, you know, that we should be able to get that information, but I think like a more reasonable amount of time would be more fair to the people here.
Well, there's no time.
Well, I know that, for example, when I have the information going toward like that request last Thursday, it's done. And I have to be on the phone with John's like, I can't get this done by Monday, so, or maybe, you know, the expectation is different from the board than John thinks. John, I'd like you to weigh in on, so I'll read this to you. Motion to reconsider a prior motion to allow all board of selectmen members to request information at any time. And that the information requested be sent to all board of selectmen members. Can you weigh in on that? That's when, I know you were getting bombarded with
Right,
requests and.
I am more than happy to get any information to the board when they want it. The problem with the way that warrant was, I mean, that motion was worded, it leaves me a little opportunity to schedule information when it comes out. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna use yours as an example. You wanted it for Monday, that.
And I did say if it was doable, and I understood that it might not be, and we had that before.
Correct. And that's good, I will agree to that, but you're one, if I had gotten 3 or 4 that week, which your motion would allow. It makes it very difficult for me to manage my time in gathering information.
But my motion doesn't have a time, so I was.
But her request did.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
And but
Okay,
You're saying if Monday is doable, if not,
you did,
so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it does take, you know, some consideration of us in making those requests.
and I agree and I
That's why we
appreciate
did
that, I was asked to weigh in, that was my
Yeah.
concern.
My concern, the reason I made that motion is, let's take the trash for instance. Any time that I was getting information and I had that knowledge and information and you guys didn't, and then I show up at a meeting and say, I've done all this research, I've obtained all these facts. And if you haven't got them and you don't know what I'm talking about, you might be inclined to make a vote or a decision without actually having seen all the information ahead of time. So to me, having this allows that if you're gonna come to a meeting or if I'm gonna come to a meeting and I'm gonna start talking about something, we're all on the same page. I just want to be clear on that was my intention. But my intention was not for you to be put under the gun. But if somebody makes a request, take as long as it takes, but when you respond,
Right.
send it to everybody, so
No,
that
I don't have a
everybody
problem with
knows.
the sharing of information, you and I were able to
Yeah,
work out getting your different versions out of students like the laptop. And I would always encourage the board not to send group emails to each other, because it constitutes a meeting. So if you send me information indicating you'd like to share it with the rest of the board, I will send it out gladly. Whatever attachment, information, letter, notice you'd like.
I mean.
But
we need
that
to be
was a
respectful of-
two-part motion. I'm more responding to the requirement of we can ask you anytime, anything without board approval. So I could be working at times at odds with one person requesting one version of information and another requesting a different version of information.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? There's no
We
rhyme.
need to be respectful of your time too.
Yeah.
And I'm more than willing to work individually with you. I just want people to understand that's a very open, possibly,
Oh, whereas if we all discuss and say, okay, we all agree, we want you to do this,
right,
then like I could have sent you requests and Trish, and then we could be overlapping and.
I could have 4 different requests all at the same time.
okay. So how about if I made a request, and this won't alleviate it for other people because she could be studying dump numbers and make a request to you for dump figures, and then I don't get them, I have no idea that that request was made, she comes to a meeting and starts talking about stuff, and I'm like, what are you talking about, I have no idea. But I could personally, when I'm requesting information from you, when you give it back to me, I can say, could you please send that to the rest of the board members so that they also know.
Any one of you can do that.
Okay,
Can I speak for John for a minute? He's been here for like 6 or 8 months.
yeah,
I come here quite frequently to talk with him and he's usually good in spirits. And I can tell you over the past 2 weeks, he has not been. It has been very arduous, he looked very stressed out. So I speak on his behalf to say that he's a bit overwhelmed with some of it.
Yeah, it has been a stressful time, and I think we did agree tonight that it does go back to, really being thorough within our process, moving forward, and being timely, not waiting until.
I think if you all agree as a board to make sure any information you gather is shared with the rest of the members prior to a meeting, I think a consensus of yourselves is more binding, that you're all understanding the work.
but we can't share it with each other, you still have.
No, I'm saying as you,
That we as people just say to each other, yes, we will be respectful of each other,
Right.
share information. And this is part of where I think a board retreat is a good thing.
Yes,
Because it
yeah.
does set up those kinds of parameters that we agree upon in between each other.
And we all-
have some goals.
And we also
that
have to be reminded that we're a very new board,
Yeah.
all trying to work together with different levels of knowledge, skills, and that kind of stuff, and trying to learn how to do this, so I think that's.
but much like especially Kathleen have been very good at, please share this with the rest of the board. I can easily do that. It's doing that, but with large data gathering, it's very, it's too much.
Okay. All right, I'll second Diane's motion.
Okay.
What was the motion?
Right here.
He said she wanted to.
Yeah, you want me to reread it or?
How about putting it in writing, it'd be easier for the
Yeah.
transcriptionist rather than me jotting it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
You can read the motion now, but I'd like it
Okay,
in writing.
I'll reread it. Motion to reconsider a prior motion to allow all board of selectmen members to request information at any time, and that the information requested be sent to all board of selectmen members.
So you're saying to consider that motion.
Motion to reconsider.
That's different than rescinding.
Yeah, I thought.
Oh,
First, you have to make a motion to reconsider. You made a
Oh.
motion, now you need a second on the
Okay.
prevailing side.
okay.
I'll second.
You all voted for it, so anyway,
Yeah.
so Diane and Kathleen.
I
Now-
apologize, I didn't mean to bury you with that motion.
No, that's all right. Now the motion is back on the table as if you've never voted. If you want to discuss and then re-vote it, that's your next move.
So that basically did,
We've discussed.
No, you put it back on the table
Oh, for reconsideration.
for reconsideration. Now,
So we don't
it's as
vote
if
on
you've
that.
never voted, the motion is on the table.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Your original motion is on the table.
Okay. All right.
So can we just table it?
No further discussion? Sure.
Yeah, but
You can make a motion to table.
Yeah. If we ever have an issue, we can bring it back up,
Right. So there's a motion to table.
Yeah, I'll motion to table that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diana.
Laura?
We have Rich and Kathleen,
Yes.
motion to table.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
I'm gonna leave, I just wanna say goodnight.
Okay, good
Can I
night.
ask for something, and Laura has heard this before, and I actually just shared this with Chad. The great book out there for this very thing, I've been in politics for a long time, the fire service. It's a gentleman who wrote a book, it's called The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Laura has listened to it twice, I've listened to it probably 10 times. I think I suggested it last year, this time.
Great.
It is a great book to understand personalities when it comes to working together towards a common goal. What happened tonight is exactly what the book addresses. We all were upset. We all have our own agendas of what we want to do. I'm very passionate about things. Be constructive and walking out the door with the same mission, whether you agree or disagree, is important. So my suggestion, he just did it, so you're probably gonna listen to him on vacation, but.
She's not coming, I'm not.
So
Flies vacation.
I strongly suggest you spend the time to listen to it, because you'll
I
understand
have
exactly what it
this
is.
book in my human resources years.
So it's great, it's really good, it's first of all for me, so. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. All right, any other business? So make a motion to ratify the consent calendar of April 21st, 2025.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diane, aye?
Laura,
That's not we guys.
That's okay. We're at the very bottom.
These are the minutes from April 7th, if you look at those and we'll come back to a motion on that.
Draft minutes from your folder for the weekend.
I saw it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I did too. Did you see me before?
Yes, I did.
I do have one suggestion that the very first sentence be edited, so it's not a wraparound sentence, it's the meeting was, just don't, try to go. Okay, I make a motion to accept the public meeting minutes of April 7th, 2025.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Laura, aye. Patricia, aye.
Yeah.
Three is enough. Batch number 115 is not listed on here, but it was sent out to us.
It was a late one after I'd already posted, I was gonna make it up, it needs to be included.
Okay. I make a motion that we accept.
No,
No, it was not.
They were just on.
Yeah. I make a motion to accept 2025 check manifest batch number 114 and batch number 115. Any second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Laura, Patricia, I.
Laura, you can second.
I don't even.
I was drinking.
She was drinking at the moment.
Okay, I'm just used to.
All right, that's it for our consent calendar. Payroll, payroll, thank you. I make a motion to accept the town payroll manifest of April 17th, 2025.
Second.
Laura makes. Yeah. All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Laura, Tricia. Right, that's it for the consent calendar. We have things in here. Okay. The letter from the chief, police chief, start. I understand that the board requested a hiring freeze a few weeks ago, and that department should bring their request to the board if an opening should open. The police department would like to post an ad for the opening that will arise with my retirement. As we have discussed, not his position.
Okay.
As we have discussed, the process is so long that the position would not be filled for months. The next police academy starts in September. We would need to find a candidate, do all the testing, and be ready to appoint them before then. If we are lucky enough to find a certified candidate, then it would be earlier than that, but the process still takes a month or two. If you could let me know if we can post the position, I would appreciate it. Thank you for your help. If you have any questions, please let me know. My personal standpoint on that is that I haven't seen that report that, requesting, which would tell us where we are currently, what the spending reductions are expected within each department. And, whether it's something like, I think that was the point of the hiring freeze.
Yes.
We are making sure that, we're not overstepping our spending. I'm not saying I'm definitely opposing this, but it is part of it. It's an unfortunate part of it. I don't want to, I have no intention of punishing anybody. I just think that we need to really have a good handle on our numbers before we're making a decision like this. I think that we don't. I think that as a board, we can look at things in our own viewpoint. We don't have a finalized, settled on default.
No, I would agree. I mean, we just made a huge decision to cut a whole entire service from the town without any idea of all the budgets, like how we're gonna move forward. So far, we've just chosen to cut trash. We haven't even spoken about how we're gonna address the other 300,000 things to manage.
Sorry, would you like to read it?
Yeah.
No,
I
I get it, sorry, I'm gonna try to read way, but.
So he's saying the next paragraph starts. I mean, it's
not like we're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
even if they identify candidate. July, right?
Right, that's what I took,
The academies, I believe.
yeah. It doesn't say how many months, but, you know.
Do they have to be signed up like 3 months before the academy starts? I don't know.
That's the make a decision.
I mean, I don't wanna set them up so. We lose the opportunity to fill a position, you know, and, you know, have the.
Sure, that's information you can get from him more concrete as far as the timeline.
Do you want, okay, how do we want, you want me to go talk to him or? John to talk to him?
I could just get back to him and say you'd like to hold off on making a decision for a while.
Yeah, but also if you could inform us more concretely about the time frame in which a person has to be signed up.
Yeah, I wanna make sure we don't set them up for like, oh, now I missed the window.
Yeah.
And now, you know, cause it's, these guys are twice as long. Yeah.
Do we need a motion on that, or just because we're already in a high number, we're just figuring it?
I mean, even if he gets us more information by the next meeting.
Right.
Revisit, exactly.
I'm gonna pass this letter around, this is the letter that John prepared to send to.
There's 4 of them,
Okay.
they're all
They
the
all the
same,
same,
they're all
okay,
the
just
same.
different recs, so
Yep.
you can see what the recs are. This is on Senate Bill 297, so you can read how he worded it, all 4 are the same, each one has a different representative on it. Was that in our electronic folder, because I'm pretty sure it ain't.
Oh, we're all We'll set aside the minutes.
Yes, those are approved.
Yeah, they were approved. Okay, next item is tax abatement for property located at map 108 lot 3 for the amount of $466.01. For the payoff amount given in April, $167,916.95.
That's the foot Sandy's gravel. We were requested by their attorneys to give final payout amount on a specific date. By the time they closed on it, more interest than accrued. That's the interest Jackie's looking to have abated. We got the check. If we don't approve it, we have to return the check and have them cut a new one. But every day accumulating, it's a moving target.
Right. Okay, so am I making a motion that we accept the
You're-
abatement amount of
Yes, you're making a motion to approve the abatement.
on map 108, map 108 lot 3, the amount of 400. From
I'll second.
Blue Center.
This clears up all of their.
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diana, Laura, Sean. Make a motion that we accept the application for property tax exemption for map 112, lot 223, lot 2. As proposed by our assessor in the amount of $40,000. All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diana, Laura, Tricia, and everything. Am I going ahead and signing a minute? Application for current use assessment. So,
That was approved by the assessor.
right,
It's
okay.
lot 402144.
Okay, is there an amount?
No, it's just
Just-
an application for current use.
Years. So I make a motion that we accept the assessor's approval of the application for current use assessment of map 02 lot 144.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diana, Laura, Tricia. That's all that's in this folder. I know I have to get a thing or two back for me to sign. So I'll send this around. Okay. Yep. All right, go back.
Yeah, yes.
John, regarding Jerry Bailey, are you off for 2 weeks or just one?
That was one thing I forgot to mention to you. I was lucky enough to be juror number 5 today for a 2 to 3 day trial next week. So I'll be out of the office Tuesday, Wednesday, possibly Thursday.
Poor guy. I know you were hoping not to get picked.
I know.
Yeah. You didn't think, you
Better
didn't
to
think,
get it
you
done.
made I think you're crazy enough.
Yeah,
Just make a couple of lunatic statements in one there. That's this guy.
there were some of those and they did get out. It does work.
My daughter's father-in-law got called from Jerry Bailey. And when they were talking, he's getting a little bit hard of hearing, so they're like, you have any issues? He's like, yeah, I can't hear. Like, yeah.
Nobody wants to deal with that.
That excuse in the past, when you either didn't have my hearing aids at the time because I was being vain, or I didn't have to do the hearing aids, and I knew I wouldn't do well.
Oh my God, it's not a signature. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
It's coming, like, I'm not, it's down.
Motion to close the public and I'd like to make a motion to close this public meeting to enter into a non-public session in accordance with the provisions of the RSA 91A 3 to B.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diana, for sure. Laura, oh, sorry. I thought I heard three voices. Okay.
Yeah, what time?
Oh, I had one.
Yes, sorry.
8:37.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay in here.
Get us to the park.
Where do we stand as far as the dump is concerned?
No changes.
No change,
Right
right, said
now.
we should not be considered.
Okay. Can I go out that door?
Sure.
Come on up.
Good night, thank you for being here.
Why don't you step up there,
Appreciate
like
it.
on the lights fix.
He couldn't come because he can't walk around here.
See you tomorrow, Chad.
Yeah. What time?
I'll be here at with 7:30.
Okay.
Okay. See you then.
Yeah.
Yeah, recess for 1 second. Oh, wait a minute, I guess.
Thank you, Carol, for being so patient.
Oh, wait,
Yeah, we're almost ready.
Good enough. No.
I make a motion to seal the minutes and of our non-public meeting.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diane,
Laura.
I'd like to make a motion to extend the interim assignment of our treasurer with Jackie
Thanks.
Sampson, thank you, to May 31st, 2025.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diane,
Laura.
Tricia, aye. Anything else? Okay, make.
We've covered a lot tonight.
Yeah, sure.
So can I make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
no.
Midnight. I will to adjourn.
I was gonna, okay.
All in favor?
Kathleen, I.
Diane,
Laura.
Tricia, aye.
I know I had a lady that wanted to meet with me tonight.
Oh, my God.